That's right, turn that shit up, man.
The following show is for mature audiences only. Shy City Sports.
Watch the tape, and when you see the tape, you know the tape doesn't lie, and the tape doesn't lie.
The one thing I felt like Pace and Nagy did do well, breaking news here, was the kicker search, where they had all these kickers to try to find a solution, which they found Pinheiro, but really gave it to Cairo first. So they ended up finding their kicker in that dramatics. Here, to your point, they're doing their due diligence, casting a wide net to find both the GM and a coach. I'm all for that. Obviously, I have my answer. I already Jim Harbaugh is the answer to me to this team's travesty of what it is. I know he would fix this, but are they going to go that way? I don't know. It's still on the table as opposed like 35 minutes ago.
It's still on the table until it's not officially. Until it's not. Right?
Until Jim comes out and says, hey, I'm not coming to the league. I'm signing back to Michigan. It's still on the table.
Kids. Now, look, Jim Harbaugh has enough strength in Michigan to say, hey, this defensive coordinator, he's going to be here regardless. The boosters perhaps will back him anyway. I'm just wondering, would he do it? Me personally, he's one of the few people that I would kind of give the power to select who's he's going to be working with as far as the general manager. There's been enough success, but I don't even want to always make it seem like Jim Harbaugh fixes all problems, though, because prior to leaving the 49ers, Colin Kaepernick had plateaued. It didn't happen after. It happened his last year there. But if I had my druthers out of the list that you have right now, I mean, I would have to really go Harbaugh because, one, he's done it in the pros. Yes. Two, and I always think about Pete Carroll coming from UFC. The guys that come from college, and I mean the guys that have been in the pros before more than just guys coming from college, have an infinite amount of information about pro personnel that just entered the league, kids that are in college, and kids that are even in high school that will be coming into college because they've been out there recruiting them. And I think that's really beneficial to any organization, having somebody that's been enthralled in that type of situation. Now you're adding them to the pros. It gives you a leg up. So I'm with you, Phil. I would be happy with Harbaugh. I just don't know if he wants to do it yet. You don't have to diss them. I wish them the best. And it doesn't all fall on them. It falls on me and George too. It didn't work. But you don't have to be like, I don't regret it. Listen, I wasted 7 years of your life. Guess what? you don't have to do us like that. Like, treat me a certain way and I will treat you a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And that the arrogance right there from Ted, I had an out-of-body experience because I could basically see myself in the face that I made when he said that. I didn't even know Ted was there. When I clicked on, it was because I wasn't already like on the website. You know how you get there when they're walking to the podium. No, I clicked on when he was talking about the high school kids getting on Nagy's son.
Oh my God!
That's where I came in, and at that point I didn't know. Prior to that, he was talking about Parker Dickerson, who right there, you don't put those two things next to each other.
You don't even put any of those in this presser.
Exactly. So I mean, you could still come out and say, "I feel." Sure. You can open or end with it. You know, I wish the best or whatever. But for that to take place, I didn't know Ted was there until Ted popped up, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, Ted is here, right?" And why wasn't he sitting next to you? Like that's the worst part. If you're gonna trick me well. Don't like lazily trick me. Like really.
Have him sitting in a bush, right? And just like peeking through if this is the way you're going to do it. Like, I'm sorry, let me come in and talk about this. My wife came down and is like, your face is super red. I have a red wall behind me. And she's like, you look as angry as that wall right now. It's like, this is everything that I had hoped had happened. All right, hey, no Ted. And to your point, well, Ted's here on the call. Great. Like, this doesn't work, but we're going to do it. This doesn't work. This doesn't do it. And Olin Kreutz is a shitty human being. And you're like, why don't you just piss on somebody while we're at it and just call it a day?
Pissed on the fans.
All day.
As you said, but first of all, they started and I felt like I walked into a one of those key parties.
Oh,
couples,
Lord.
What do they call
You're
it?
talking about a swing? A
swingers part. I go, what? Are we at a presser? He's talking about. Yeah,
dude, wait, and address. This is another thing too. Just as I won't even say as a man, as an adult, address your failure. You have not been successful during your tenure. You should address that and tell us, outside of having someone report directly to you, what are you really going to do that's different? And what's the difference between them reporting to Ted and reporting to you? Because it failed with reporting to Ted. How's this going to be different because you're closer to the connect? It would be baffling if it wasn't the McCaskies.
But their culture is the envy of the league, right? They have everything but wins, right? Like
2020.
We have everything but wins.
Even after they select that person, there's still going to be hope until, like what Shayne said, until one after the draft, and that'll be the first test for the most part. Free agency and the draft will be the test. Also, head coach, the staff, filling out the general manager's staff, also who he brings in around them. Those will be some other tests. But there's hope from where we were last week. The only part is you could have just listen. They were better off not to even address the press. Like we'll come out when we
statement.
Yeah, we'll come out when we find out who the general manager and head coach. And we would have been upset, but it would have been not knowing. We would have been ignorant of because we were like, man, they should have said something. But we would have been ignorant to the fact that we would have prevented ourselves from watching that fiasco that took place last Monday.
Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
I was trading up.
100.
Yes!
What? Here it is! For just reporting.
Stick an open competition.
Keeping it 100.
The people drop off, but we still keep
I know we need to run the ball more. I'm not an idiot.
Keeping it 100. Keeping it 100. Keeping it 100.
Open competition.
Keeping it 100. The Smartest Man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. The dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shayne's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shayne got some haters. But now they're mouth stuffed like the Jew and now and laters. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a Barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks trolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shayne. 100's what we do when we're breaking down the bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the armchair. The tape never lies, the truth, you see. We laugh, we lie, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Max Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun day. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100. Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the Smartest Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time again. Here we are, Wednesday night, 8:30. We got the two guys from TTNL Network, Mr. Shayne Marsaw.
Give me some fucking name.
And Dr. Phil Ottochian.
The team is a reflection of you.
Coming to give us a great show. We got Mr. Greg Bragg.
Fuck yourself.
Who's lovable and likable.
Nope. Nope.
Sometimes you just want to give him a hug.
Nope. Nope.
But then we have the CEO, Mr. Zach Pearson himself, joining us this evening to talk everything Chicago Bears.
Then let me do what I hired to do.
So I think nothing else is more important than bringing on the two stars of the show.
Hello, hello.
One guy returning from the lovable, I think he went to hedonism or someplace like that. But
yo, this is your boy, Draft Dr. Phil, live here. Takana.
Who knows? But he's back with a smile on his face, tan, and a pep in his step. So let's go. Shayne, Phil, how we doing, boys?
It's the #1 bear show on the planet. Keeping it 100 with the Tape Never Lies Network.
What's up, Jackle? I was just on. You caught me off guard. I was on Amazon buying you fucking 3 cases of 5-hour energy.
You know how cold it is here, guys? I'm doing this for you.
Exactly.
Bring that.
Oh boy.
Never lies.
Never take cough syrup and mix it up with iodine and lye.
Hey, this is David Kaplan. Yo, this is Dante Jones.
This is Kenneth Davis.
This is your boy, Lemmy Stenson.
This is Matt Waldman.
This is Paige DeMarcos.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan All here with the Chicago Bears.
This is Olin Crooks with my boys.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Former Bears tight end Zach Miller here.
Well, listen to my guys. Phil,
get someone in here. Get Pace the fuck out of here.
And Shayne.
As hard as that was to watch, that was the way that this staff deserved to go out.
So, my boys, Shayne and Phil.
Yeah, you're listening to my guys, Shayne and Phil, on the Tape Never
Lies Network, home of the greatest Chicago Bears fans on earth. Yo! This is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports. Keepin It 100. Jackle, I don't care what they say. You're the man. I fucking love you. First, fuck the Packers. They fucking suck. Second, he might have the same name, but he's bringing a new attitude. We have a new GM in Chicago, Ryan Poles, and he's going to be picking our next head coach. So to talk about that and much more, of course, we got another great show for you tonight. We got former Bears reporter JJ Stankevitz coming back on, and maybe a special guest or two. But let's bring on the boys, Shayne, the smartest man, Marsaw.
Did he hit the fucking mark for the first time ever?
I was counting him down.
He was counting me down in the background. That's what I need. I need the
Claudio. I got my fresh cut from Claudio.
Right, lined up.
Got him lined up. All lined up like Jackle and his passion. It's a beautiful day in the Chicago neighborhood. It's a beautiful day, baby. We got a GM. Shout out to everybody involved in that amazing open with Caden, Cool Kennedy, and me working all together. And finally, Jackle doing some shit.
We only drove, what, 27 miles today, Phil, while we were on the phone trying to figure out what show the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood song was on.
Oh, my God. I had to go through every show to find when I produced that because it wasn't on my computer. So I literally had to screen grab, and then I dressed it up a little bit with some of what we did throughout the year. So listen, TTNL is where it's at. I feel the love from the fans. I'm telling you, getting my hair cut from Claudio today, we were just talking about how crazy it is. There's freaking 30 people in the chat room tailgate chatting. It's awesome. Every show, you guys are the best fans. We can't thank you enough. For what? 3 fans away, 3 patrons away from 700 patrons, Shayne.
Yeah, get over there, thetapeneverlies.com, and sign up. Whoever number 700 is, Claudio will have a special surprise for you.
Gift card for a free haircut. A free haircut. Is Shayne pausing for you, Jackle? And
a little bit. Yeah, he's a little choppy.
Yeah, he is for me, too. It never happens. This happened the other day, too.
Do not know.
Jackle on.
It's one of those things here. We'll bring Jackle in. Hey, Jackle.
What up, people?
How? You're on. You did it. You made it.
I fucking love it.
You're here,
How
bro.
we doing, boy?
Jackle.
What up, man?
How's
Jackle.
everybody tonight? I hope everyone's having a good evening. Don't eat too many edibles and get on the internet, people. It's a bad fucking look, let me tell you. You know, then you get made fun of.
We're going to save that intro. That's going to be a new intro every week almost. How you feeling, Jackle? You excited? We got a GM. You've been scavenging the internet to finally produce your first segment for the show.
It's a beautiful thing, let me tell you. You know, a lot to talk about. The polls era has begun, and it is fucking fantastic. Showing up at 4 a.m, and then you got the Giants GM fucking showing up at like 9:30, dropping his kids off at school 4 days after the Bears. You know, it's like, dude, fuck you guys. Yeah, everyone wants to now emulate us. Did we like make a good move and people are actually happy and excited about it? You know, a lot to talk about.
Listen, Pole's ride is pretty fucking sick with the fucking light up handles. And
I like that.
Handles.
That shit was pimping in here.
Yeah,
I like his swag.
George
He's got some
picked him
swag.
George picked him up from the airport.
Oh, don't fucking
Brought
ask
him
brags
there.
about clothes and shit. Jesus Christ. They'll be
The
talking
jeans.
about,
yeah.
you know,
Wow.
God, fucking, oh my
That's
goodness.
why we, you know, we put the nope, the big nope, the lovable.
You look better. The lovable.
Jackle loves lovable. Jackle was lovable this morning. It's always nice when someone calls you like, yo, first off, the show with you and Shayne, you guys fucking killed it last night. Then you go on with Rank. That was fucking amazing. TTNL, I'm so proud to be a part of this network. Jackle was wearing a TTNL jacket of love. That's
I'm
what he
lovable.
What?
We're all feeling the love because there's change. There's a new era of Chicago football. I felt like my partner, Shayne, the smartest man, Marsaw, killed it last night in recognizing not the whys. He was given the answers for the Minnesota Vikings, how they flip-flop and manipulate truths.
I should pull that. I'll pull that video for you because it happened right on cue, and I have the video of it. Let me grab it real quick.
We all knew.
Is it the one you posted on Twitter?
Yeah, I quote tweeted it. Yep.
Yeah.
So this is
funny.
This is what you fans, and this is where I say, okay, you know, all of the hard work. I told my wife all of the hard work that Shayne and I put into this network. And it's not taking anything away from anybody else. I'm just saying there was a baseline of effort and planning that needed to go into it that we would never fray. And the old network, just keeping it 100, They wanted clicks. So no matter what kind of shit they wanted to pull, Shayne and I weren't going to be down with that. So it was always important to stay this way, straight for the truth. We're the truth. That's it. No matter who comes on this show, no matter how uncomfortable it might be, no matter how wrong or right you are, you're going to face that truth. That song and dance ain't going to be here. So if Ryan Poles sucked, or we thought it was, or we didn't want that guy, and then we got him, we're not going to change our, you know what? Now that I think about it, he's really great. That's meatball shit. That's not analysis. It's not even truthful. I have my list of coaches. I know what I believe could change. I knew Matt Nagy sucked, and I knew it was time for change. They did it. I'm going to trust the process. Did I like how Ted Phillips is involved? No. But I do like the news. And I'll play it again today. I know some of you saw it, but I know David Kaplan has taken shit on Twitter or whatever is going on. But David Kaplan I will stand to the end of the earth for David Kaplan. I'll battle anybody. Let me pull everybody's fucking seats to see how many other people.
I got them all.
Exactly. So many people could fucking.
Shane's keeping them.
Everybody wants to talk shit until they're standing in front of the camera. That's what I always say. It's like, I put my name to everything I stand for. You can go back and listen to me talk about Josh Allen and Johnny Manziel. I'm not afraid to get it wrong. I stand, and so does Shayne, by the truth. We're never going to flip-flop. But the most important thing, that's why the fans stay here. That's why you come here, because we're going to keep it 100, like the show is called. David Kaplan has a source at Halas Hall, told him this.
I believe that they've turned over the keys, and he doesn't report to Ted. George is the only one he has to answer to. And from what I was told by somebody who I think would know, he told them, okay, here's the deal. I'm doing the interviews, me, and I'm making the call. Don't tell me who Polio wants to hire, or who Ernie Accorsi wants to hire, or who Virginia wants. I'm picking my head coach, or I'm getting on a plane to Minneapolis.
That's the most important thing that I hear from a new GM. If I'm hired, Draft Dr. Phil gets hired by the Chicago Bears to be the GM. No way in fuck. I said this to Shayne way back when Ernie Accorsi and John Fox. Ryan Pace had no balls. You can't want a job and give over the job itself to somebody else. You just can't do it because it's not you.
No.
It's not you. It's like some music artists that they want to do, a certain way, their music, but we're not going to sign you if you don't do it a corporate way. Some people will sell out for that because they want the opportunity. For me, especially in football, music, okay, you want to get your foot in the door and then you can course correct. Football, though, you only get one shot. Ryan,
you're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
And the Bears, they have a garbage rooster, a marginal offensive line, aging veterans, and no first-round pick. He's like, I like a challenge. Go ahead. It would be too easy to win with the Vikings or have a chance to win with the Vikings because there was no guarantee that I was getting that job anyway, even though it's a better job. Yeah, okay. Okay. And the Bears.
Rooster?
Garbage.
What's a rooster?
Feels the rooster? Is that what he's talking about?
We got hens too? What do we got? We got eggs?
Yeah.
He's
a
he's
a needle poker.
You have the first. Can we get him on the show? I would love that. I will bury this fucking dude.
He'd say,
better job.
Kirk Cousins. Kirk
35 million
guaranteed. I can bring up the original one.
I want the original
the full one.
This is the reality, guys.
But this
if
is this is
somebody
exactly
on a Friday. This is think about the dude in high school or the girl, whatever your pleasure, that fucking loved this chick on Friday He asks her to the fucking prom. She says no. On Monday, he's talking shit to all his that girl is not nothing. That's a fucking clown. That's the fucking pussification of America right there. Minnesota Viking fans, biggest clowns ever. I've said this even before this fucking thing. I've always had an issue with Minnesota Viking fans. They're the classless. I very rarely have met anybody with class. This dude, what's his name? So I can call him correctly.
Needler.
Name's the Rooster.
Vikings beat writer. What do you make of the?
Real quick, this is
set it up.
This is when Minnesota, their fans, and their beat reporters, before Ryan Poles accepted the job in Chicago, this is them explaining that there's no way he's going to take the job in Chicago before he comes to Minnesota, and you'll see how it unfolds. You've seen the aftermath, what we just showed you, and this is the precursor.
Vikings beat writer. What do you make of the Bears also doing the second interview, but maybe more importantly, doing that second interview before the Vikings have a crack to get him the second time?
I think that Poles is a smart enough guy that we're so far down the road here that there's no way that he would be signed up to talk to both the Bears and Vikings and just say to the Vikings after Tuesday, hey, peace out, I'm staying in Chicago. I am known as Panic, as tagged long ago by our friend Patrick Royce. I am not panicked one bit. Bidding war, absolutely. And you know what? Good for Ryan Poles. He should.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is offered both jobs, you know what? Bidding war, dude, go for it. But this whole thing of, well, he's going while Adolfo Mensa's here on Tuesday, the Bears are going to be talking to Poles, and then it's going to be too late. No. This is far enough down the path where being a finalist for both jobs, he clearly, as a smart guy, is going to want to hear what both teams say. And if both are like, you're our guy, say, all right, Vikings, all right, Bears, start the bidding at this amount. So
wrong.
Yeah. And I got one more that's uploading. Yeah. That'll show you.
We
even
got
more.
the fucking Rooster upload. That's all I'm gonna call him from now on. Rooster. That's his nickname on TTNL.
I want to see what was he saying before he knew Ryan Poles was going through.
Well, that's what he's uploading. I thought it was
yeah,
both.
I thought I had both of them tapped.
So that was the other beat writer. He's wrong. He's wrong.
Who? Panic?
Now, yeah, Panic.
Yeah.
Panic's wrong. Manic Panic. Now we got the Rooster boy.
There's just no way, guys.
No
he's
way.
gonna take the job in Chicago.
Have you ever said that about another team?
No, I just
exactly. It's
Phil,
the NFL.
Do you remember where we came from before we were here? Do you remember the discussions every single fucking year that you and I would sit there and have about how we didn't? Minnesota was always a non-fucking factor to us.
Haven't we beat Minnesota?
The only thing they have is maybe a better receiver. Maybe that's it. That's the only thing they have at every position.
So you look
what
at
else? What do they have?
Minnesota. Listen, I'll say this again. I said it on Adam Rank's show last night. We beat Minnesota fully with a staff that's getting fired. If Matt Nagy had any concept of offensive football. You just think about that. You beat them again with everybody knowing that they're getting fired. If Matt Nagy runs the ball with David Montgomery, you had 5 fourth down situations. Matt, 4 out of those 5 threw the ball. We know the story there. On a losing team with nothing to play for. I'm just telling you. And prior to that, they played their best game. Anyway. Do you want to play this first, or we got our guest?
We can play it after.
We'll play that after.
Hold on,
I gotta do this because our old intro for this guy is
he
old.
He left us, Phil.
He left us. So
For
I gotta
greener
do
pastures.
it. I gotta do it on the fly off the
Carson
top of
Wentz.
my head, Cherie, with no production. Hold on. Be patient. Be patient, my friend. I gotta see if you can hear this music. I gotta have music at least.
Minnesota.
This is from my old school days. Listen, Coach Dan Quinn had some experience at Hofstra. That's where your boy's from. Can you hear that?
Yep.
You can hear the music?
Yeah, we got it.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, friend of the show is going to return right here on the TTNL network. You knew him. He used to be the voice under the center podcast, breaking down the Bears like nobody else. In fact, he gave you the riches like Cool G Rap. He gave you on the road to the riches of what the Chicago Bears needed to do. If they only would have listened to this guy. Instead, they shipped him out of town because they didn't want him collaborating with Phil and Shayne anymore. Now, he's with our guy, Ballard and the Colts. What are they going to do? We got him on the show tonight. You know him. I love him. He's got twins just like I do. He's JJ Stankevitz.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
There we go.
What's
JJ,
up, guys?
what's up?
It is great to get one of those classic Draft Dr. Phil intros. Man, it has been too long since I got one of those, dude. That was, once again,
no
the
script.
master.
That was off the top of the dome, man. I just threw it together.
Hey, you got experience putting those together, so that was cool. What's up, guys?
Phil sent me the original open. I'm like, yeah, I don't think we can. I don't think we can roll with that one today. It just
should
doesn't work
play it
anymore.
later.
Yeah,
It's like so old to Mitch, and it was funny, but you're way beyond that. Welcome back, JJ. We missed you, honestly.
I missed you guys too, Shayne. Hey, Shayne, it was awesome seeing the news you put out on Twitter
Thanks,
about
man.
your son today. That's awesome, man.
Yep, big day around here. It's been a crazy few months for my family, as everybody knows, with my mom and my daughter, and then my son. Everything going on with my son, but we will take any positive news that we can get, and it gets even better. We can cap off the night with JJ coming back to TTNL.
Oh, yes, JJ's back. JJ's, listen, we're bringing you on. Obviously, the tea leaves are floating in the wind, but rumors and sources and all of that stuff. Everyone said Byron Leftwich was the Jags head coach yesterday. Turns out he's out of there. Could be Nathaniel Hackett or him, and nothing's concluded. And Dan Quinn seems to be on the tongue of everybody and sources around, but you are on the show tonight to talk a little bit about, obviously, Morocco Brown, Dodds, and Eberflus, all of them with the Colts, all of them interviewing with the Chicago Bears. They roll with polls. Can we make that a t-shirt, Shayne? We roll with polls. And, that's obviously the big story in town, and now they're going to decide. And one of the three names is Eberflus.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on him, the man? That is really the key here. George McCaskey has said leadership is probably a leader is the most important thing. And I haven't agreed with George in about 6 years. So finally, I found something I agree with him. I think that's probably the most important trait for this new head coach. What are your thoughts on Eberflus?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great leader, first and foremost, and he's learned from some of the best. You guys know on this show where I went to college, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So you know who was the defensive coordinator my first 2 years at the University of Missouri was Matt Eberflus. So I've been a Matt Eberflus fan for like 15 years now. But from a leadership standpoint, you think about the influences he's had. Gary Pinkel, from, my money, one of the best college coaches in recent memory, a guy who's going into the College Football Hall of Fame. Gets in the NFL, he works with Rod Marinelli, a guy who, y'all know in Chicago very well. Comes to Indianapolis. He comes to Indianapolis hired to work with Josh McDaniels. And I was going to say off the top, when you're talking about, it looks like this might happen or this might happen. Like, look, man, I'm here in Indianapolis. We know here from experience that if the contract is not signed, it is not final. But Matt Eberflus is brought on to work for Josh McDaniels. McDaniels backs out. Colts hire Frank Reich. And Frank Reich doesn't just keep guys on his staff just because they were, here. Frank Reich is very choosy about who he wants on his staff. And Matt Eberflus has been here for 4 years now, which speaks volumes to the kind of leader Eberflus is on the defensive side of the ball, because that really is his responsibility. Frank Reich he's the offensive guy. He comes from Philadelphia and he's the quarterback guy. So Matt Eberflus has run the defense, kind of similar probably in a way to what Vic Fangio did in Chicago, with Matt Nagy. And that leadership that he has of that unit, they've been top 10 in points allowed 3 of the 4 years he's been the Colts defensive coordinator, and they've been top 10 in takeaways every single year. Like, how hard that is to do in the NFL, where like the ball is a stupid shape and it just goes in weird places. Like, to be top 10 in takeaways 4 straight years means you're doing something. And you listen to how Frank Reich talks about Matt Eberflus. I had a chance to sit down with Frank before the season, and he said that what impresses him about Flus's leadership is just the detail that goes into everything. There is no stone left unturned. And it goes with how he wants his players to be coached, how he wants them to play, what the scheme is. But then on top of that, Flus is flexible with this stuff. He's willing to say, all right, you know what? We're maybe, we are a zone heavy team, but you know what? We need to sprinkle in some more man to better fit the talents of our players, which he did in 2021. He can be flexible. It's not just walking in the building and being like, this is how we're playing defense. This is how I want to play offense. He really does take a look at his roster and say, all right, what is the talent we have and how can we best fit that talent to our scheme?
JJ, let's just remove everybody but Eberflus. Let's just say for all intents and purposes, he happens to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. From what you know, who do you think would come in? Because obviously the biggest part of what Chicago Bears fans want to know, Justin Fields wants to know, who's going to be who would be connected to him that would be that OC, that would be that quarterback's coach or offensive line coach potentially. Because you lived it here with us, man. You know the situation on offense where it's a disaster. We'll just put it that way. But what are some names that would be connected to him on his offensive staff?
Well, if you're looking for people in Indianapolis right now, Scotty Montgomery, our running backs coach, and Mike Groh, our wide receivers coach, both had interviews with the Carolina Panthers.
Former Bear.
Receiver
coach.
Yep, Mike Groh, former receiver coach with the Bears, former offensive coordinator with the Eagles. Scotty Montgomery is a guy who he's got an awesome background. I love this dude. He coached wide receivers for the Steelers when they had Mike Wallace, and it was in the early stages of AB's career. And he had to manage the egos there and did a really good job. He then had to stop. He was Eastern Carolina's head coach in the college ranks. He had to stop at Duke, and then he comes to Indianapolis. And Jonathan Taylor led the NFL in rushing by 500 and something yards this year. Is the biggest gap between the number 1 and number 2 running backs in the NFL since 2009. So Scotty Montgomery knows what he's doing. And if you're just looking at guys in Indianapolis who are qualified, those are 2 guys I think you would probably circle. But Flus has had some stops around his career. He's been in Dallas. He's been in Cleveland. Obviously been in the college ranks. I don't necessarily know who would be on his list outside of Indy, but I do know this. Look, if you're a defensive-minded coach and you're getting finalist interviews with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Chicago Bears, you probably have a pretty damn good plan of how you're going to develop a quarterback based on the 2 quarterbacks in those situations.
when you look at this guy, and I've talked to a few people, and the thing that keeps being repeated by some of his former players, well, one of his former players that I spoke to, as well as some guys that know him in the league, is that he preaches hustle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what we saw, and I saw it under Chuck Pagano, and I saw it under Desai. Vic Fangio was different. Players running to the football. There's no loafing. This guy preaches that. So you talk about the turnovers. This is how you get turnovers. Is that like the overriding theme that you're hearing as somebody covering that this guy's baseline mantra? Olin Kreutz was on with us real quick, and he goes, remember the turnover bucket that Sean Desai, and it was in preseason, that was hyped up. Then we never heard of the turnover bucket again. So there was no cultural baseline there for the Chicago Bears with their defense. His Eberflus seems to be different. This is something embedded in what he preaches, his defense. He doesn't care. He'll sit in zone all day if you're hustling to the football, making tackles. Am I right?
Yeah, a couple things here, Phil. So the first thing is the Colts this year had these ball hawk shirts, and it was like this like super, like it was like very loud, like it was this big graphic of like a hawk. I mean, I guess it probably was a hawk. And they were just like super, at least to me, super ugly. But like you got a red one if you got a touchdown on a turnover, you got a blue one for an interception, you got, I think it was a green one for a fumble. And like players loved this. It wasn't something they did on the sideline during games, but in meetings, usually probably be like Monday, or I think usually it would be Monday. Like he'd give out the ball hawk shirts and the players loved it. The other thing on Flus, you talk about hustling. I mean, yeah, like a lot of coaches have, all right, we don't have any loafs here. We track loafs. A lot of coaches do that. But go watch how the Colts defended Derrick Henry in the 2 games that they played this year. And you could probably go back to years past too. Those dudes are flying to the ball. Like their mentality on how to stop Derrick Henry was, we need 8 guys getting after him on every single play. And they did that. Like you would see Julian Blackmon coming from the boundary to the field to be the 7th guy in a pile on Derrick Henry. That's just the mentality that these guys have. It is somewhat obviously taking the ball away, but it's just, it permeates everything else that a Matt Eberflus defense does. And the guy in the middle of it, Darius Leonard. I mean, you talk about a special player. Like,
yeah.
I was blown away getting to watch every single snap that Darius took this year. And Matt Eberflus, by the way, he's a linebackers guy. So,
right.
Hey, you want a guy to come in and finally get Roquan Smith that, Pro Bowl, All-Pro recognition that, a lot of folks feel like he deserves. Well, like, man, Matt Eberflus probably could get it out of him because, shoot, Darius Leonard, man, I cannot say enough good things about the kind of player he is and the work that Matt Eberflus and Dave Barganzi, our linebackers coach, have done with him, because it's phenomenal. And like the emotional heart and soul of a defense that hustles is a guy that just there's no off switch, like at all. And he's the perfect Matt Eberflus player because of that.
JJ, when you look at Eberflus on defense, whenever I watched a Colts game or you're reading thing, it seemed like a lot of what the Chicago Bears fans were going through. It seemed like they, I'm more of a guy when I'm, watching defense, watching the Bears play, I'm begging and pleading for them to just get a little bit more aggressive and send some blitzes. It seems like that's a lot of what they were going through in Indy, that they wanted him to be a little more aggressive. Yeah. And he just, like you said, he's just maintained, I'm going to get there with 4. And there's really none of that going on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Flus's strategy is you want to win with the 4 up front and keep everything in front of you, which, it's kind of the way a lot of defenses are going, right? I mean, you think about the proliferation of the Vic Fangio tree, and that's what it is. It's 2 high safeties, keeping the dome on an offense. And, there's obviously different flavors of it and how much you blitz, how much you don't. But, Vic Fangio didn't really blitz a whole lot. 2018, that Bears team barely blitzed at all. And it works when you're able to get, you're able to get some pressure with the guys up front, getting it with 4. The Colts admitted this year they didn't get enough pressure on the quarterback. DeForest Buckner had a really good season. Kwity Paye, you can see a lot of really good things from him. But ultimately, they didn't get enough sacks. And that I don't think that's a product of them not blitzing enough necessarily. And Flus did send some of the blitzes he would send were really creative, and he's so good with simulated pressures where you're rushing 4, but it's not, you never know who it's going to be. Like the play plays guys that's kind of like defining of our season in a bad way. We're up 14-0 against the Titans in week 8, and Tennessee's got the ball, close-ish to midfield in their own territory. It's a 3rd and long. And Flus sends this awesome simulated pressure where he's got Darius coming through the A gap, and he's got George Odom coming off the edge. But then Tyquan Lewis, the defensive end, dropping into coverage. Well, Ryan Tannehill throws it right to Tyquan Lewis, who picks it off. He starts running with the football, blows out his knee, fumbles the ball. The next play, the Tennessee recovers it. Next play, 57-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. And it was just like, oh, my God. Like, when you think back about the way the season ended, that was one of those plays.
Here's the other thing that I really
the quick point on that is like, while Flus, I think the blitz rate was somewhere around 22%. It was in the low 20s. He's got a good feel for when to send those blitzes. And that's something that Vic Fangio certainly has too. You don't have to blitz like you're Wink Martindale with the Baltimore Ravens all the time. But if you can target when to send those blitzes and make them confusing, that makes them effective.
I think about Flus, as you call him, and I like it. He has accountability, and he will be quick to. I look at Eddie Goldman and Eddie Jackson, the two Eddies here, lackadaisical in effort and technique when it comes to tackling. Will that fly under Eberflus, or would he be like, listen, out? Because there has been zero accountability, and from all the way down, coaches, my dad, and everybody on this network watching the tape, they just continue to put the same people out there, no matter if they make the same mistakes. And I think that's a real detriment to a football team, because you're sending the wrong message to young players, and you're sending the wrong message to your locker room. I've heard that Eberflus will pull anyone out of the game if they're not up to the Colt way. Is this true?
I think it is, but I never even saw it this year because he didn't have to. I mean,
that's pretty good.
That's the thing. Is like
speaks a lot about our culture, doesn't it, Phil?
Yeah.
Well, it says a lot about our culture.
He talks so much, like he's very oriented toward like alignment, assignment, technique. Like that is what he sees. And if your alignment is bad, if you're on the wrong assignment, if your technique is bad, that's one thing. Obviously, certainly if you're not hustling and you're not giving it, 100% out there, like Darius Leonard this year, guys, this dude, he literally, we would ask him every Thursday, hey, Darius, how's your ankle? And he would just be like, yeah, it's attached. Like his ankle was so messed up this year. Darius, he left everything on the field. There was never a moment where you felt like, man, like Darius isn't hustling, or Darius is, he's letting the ankle get to him. You could see he wasn't playing as fast as he wanted to in the first 10 games of the season. But Darius never took a play off. And like, again, you talk about the culture and the guys who said it. It starts with Flus, certainly, but, the players on this team, man, like Kenny Moore II, Bobby Okereke, Buck, Grover Stewart, like these are good players. They work really hard, and they don't loaf. They don't take plays off. And if they do, then yeah, someone else is coming in. And, you might see an emergence of someone because of it. You know, everyone knows like, hey, you take one play off, one game off, like who's to say you're going to have your job next week? And
that's the real selling point for me with Eberflus. I feel like he is a leader of men, and he's consistent in the fact that I don't care if we will sit in our base defense and play you man up 100 miles per hour. That being said, I'm sorry, Shayne, cut you off, but I wanted to ask you, because the elephant in the room is the Jacksonville Jaguar loss. How is this explained? Obviously, the GM is so transparent, and the owner is quirky, for lack of a better term, but he wants to win.
Oh yeah.
So they have a meeting there. Eberflus, was he in that as well?
No, it was just Reich, Ballard, and Mr. Irsay.
Okay, so what was the end result of that? And did Eberflus take this loss the hardest?
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk with him after the season. I mean, look,
okay,
to say someone took this loss the hardest would be probably unfair, because everyone took it really hard. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's such a weird thing how the season ended.
Right.
Like, you know, when we had a chance to sit down with Chris Ballard for our podcast last week, and I asked him, like, where are you in the post-mortem process? Because like they post-mortem everything in a way that is different. It's not necessarily unique to football, but they go really, really deep on it. And it's about a 6-week process. So by the end of that 6 weeks, which we're probably in about week 3 of it right now, we're going to have some answers of what happened. And I would imagine the next time we talk with Chris Ballard and with Frank Reich at the NFL Combine, we'll hear what those answers are. But I mean, look, you see, and you know what Mr. Irsay tweets out, like, he's still pretty pissed about this.
Right.
Like, the organization.
I wish our organization was pissed about it. They have no regrets about hiring Nagy and Pace. They feel as though they were good gentlemen that tried hard. So that's not football to me. So to what I'm a little envious, and I'll say this in truth, to see an owner that gives a shit as much as Irsay does, as quirky as he is, that I get envious of. Now,
I mean, yeah, and he, like, I don't know what changes are going to happen here in Indy. Like, I don't. I'm just the lowly team writer, but something's going to change. Like, you don't have that meeting. You don't have these public statements. You don't have Chris Ballard taking accountability for an hour and 7 minutes and run it back. I mean, that's so. I'm just as fascinated as everyone else is to see what happens in the coming weeks and months here. But, I think I'll be interested in, the next time we get to talk to Flus, if he does wind up staying here as defensive coordinator, about kind of what his postmortem of that was. Like, because Trevor Lawrence came out and played the best game he had all season. Like, we know Trevor Lawrence is a talented quarterback, but with everything on the line, with the playoff spot on the line, to kind of just get cut down like that left a really horrible taste in everyone's mouth here. And certainly that is a fair question for, the Bears search committee, for Ryan Poles to ask Matt Eberflus. I imagine he'll give them a pretty good answer. A better one than certainly I'm giving you guys right now, because again, he's the coordinator, I'm the writer, but that's a fair and a tough question that will be asked in whatever interview Flus has, and is one I'm sure he's going to have an answer for. And it might just be, we weren't good enough. And like, we just kind of got our ass kicked. Like, maybe that's it. Or maybe there were schematic things he wished he would have done differently. Maybe what the Colts did in the second half of that game, where, Trevor Lawrence did kind of lose some of his efficiency. Maybe they wish they would have done that in the first half, whatever it might be. I'm guessing he's figuring out those answers just like we all are trying to figure them out.
JJ, we were talking about culture, but I want to take it away from the team itself and like your situation. You were in Chicago. You were around it as a member of the media. Like we had Zach Pearson on here a couple of different times talking about just the weird, quirky, stupid shit that goes on. You know, he's like, they used to turn the heat on in September at the stadium in the media box, and then, you know, in December there's a game in December where it was freezing cold and they turned on the air conditioning this year for them. And just like the culture from the team towards the media in Chicago, and now you're in Indy for a season, is it completely night and day, or is it very, very, is it just similar?
I'll just say this for how the Colts handle the media. It's a different market. It's a different beat, smaller. But I mean, look, the Colts, the PR staff we have in Indy, they're phenomenal. They won the Pete Rozelle Award in 2020 for the best PR staff in the NFL, and could not have been more deserved. You know, the stuff that Matt Conti and his team do. And then, you know, Frank Reich is great with the media. He is transparent.
Does he know the whys?
He is insightful, and you know, he's not going to tell you if a guy's going to play on Wednesday,
right?
You know, but he's really good to deal with. The players are so good to deal with. Like, I mean, seriously, like Jonathan Taylor is just like one of the best dudes I've ever been around. Like, just the most humble guy, just, you know, willing to talk. Like, it's awesome. And then Chris Ballard, I mean, you guys all saw that press conference. Like, that was remarkable. Like, I texted him after and was just like, dude, like, that was like, you took an hour and 7 minutes of a beating. And
he opened it up the perfect way.
Right. Yeah.
It was
he
amazing.
opened it up just being like, we got our ass.
Made me proud of him.
Like, you know, that kind of stuff is, you know, that matters.
Right.
I'll say, like, you know, fans here have a lot of complaints about it and a lot of complaints about, you know, the front office and coaching staff, but like, that's because that's what fans do. I mean, like, I want to sometimes be like, guys, like, you have it really good here. Like, Ballard's awesome. Reich's awesome. Like, Reich's a great play caller, like all these things. And then, you know, because fans are emotional and that's fine. I think everyone gets it. You know, I'll kind of end it on this. Like, I feel really fortunate to have landed with this organization. The people in it are top notch.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they treat people is top notch. And that goes not just for how they view the media, that goes for how they view employees, from, you know, the assistant general manager to, you know, a part-time ticket sales rep. Like, everyone's treated really well, and it's just a really, really good organization to work for.
When you officially got the gig, did your wife go friggin' crazy?
Well, yeah, right. You know, well, she's got a lot of residual Colts gear now.
Yeah, I bet.
From the gig. You know, I mean, yeah, like y'all know, like, she's a Colts fan, so
yeah.
It's kind of funny now though. Like, she'll talk to me about the Colts and she'll be like, you know, well, why can't Jonathan Taylor be MVP? And I'm like, I know. You know, and now I'm like super informed. Like, I'm at her level now, talking about
Right.
Like, previously I would just kind of be like, oh yeah, Darius Leonard's pretty good. Now I'm like, have you seen Darius Leonard? Like, this dude's awesome.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal defensive football player. One of my favorite when that draft was coming out. Actually, Roquan and him were in that draft, and I was pulling for Darius Leonard more than Roquan, but irregardless, they're both great football players. Let me ask you this, Eberflus, your opinion. Great head coach in the making. As you stand near him in the room, you've asked him questions, and you've been around the Chicago Bears. Is that your opinion? Honestly, would he be a great hire for the Chicago Bears?
I have no doubt that Matt Eberflus will be a very good head coach. And And I think that goes for whatever team hires him. You know, that's just how much I think of the guy. You know, he could go step into, you know, a terrible college job right now and be a really good head coach. He could step into the best job in the NFL and be a really good head coach. He could step into a job in Chicago where you've got a young quarterback, some good pieces on defense, and be a really good head coach. Absolutely.
Well, I want to say that because the chat room is a flutter in sheer, what we say, ignorance. I'll be very nice here in regards to names and burying coaches when they don't kind of understand. Nobody knows who, and JJ's just guesstimating who he might hire as his offensive coordinator. Eberflus, the head coach, is the most important hire, not his offensive coordinator. I've always said that. I know Bears fans get so nervous because Lovie Smith had so many failures in regards to offensive coordinator, and these defensive coaches. It's so important, the offensive coordinator. We get it with Justin Fields, but I think the biggest F up we've had, see, Dad, I didn't swear, that we've had is that we don't have a leader of men that are going to hold players accountable the right way. That's the reality.
Listen, guys, like, no one in Buffalo is wringing their hands over them having a defensive-minded head coach right now.
Exactly.
No one's doing that. No one in Tennessee is wringing their hands over Mike Vrabel, who has a defensive background. Mike Vrabel's an awesome coach. I know they lost in the playoffs, but like that dude can coach. Sean McDermott can coach. That's what matters. If you can coach, if you know how to lead a team, how to lead a staff, how to lead an organization, that's what matters. And Matt Eberflus can do all those things.
That's why he's a finalist here in this job. And I know you can't, and I'm just for the audience, JJ can't talk about certain things with the Bears and stuff like that. So we're trying to do this balancing act.
We were going to ask him. We were going to ask you one thing, JJ. JJ Stankevitz versus Larry Mayer, steel cage.
Oh my God! What's the battle?
And what is the lunch with Larry in Indianapolis? What's your version of that?
Lunch with Larry, I would say, is probably Horseshoe FAQ, which I do with my colleague Lara Overton. It's a Facebook show where we answer questions for 20 minutes, and usually it gets pretty silly. Did I ever? I can tell you. I wasn't there for this, but you mentioned lunch with Larry. And who would be the best to give you an impression of this? Maybe it would be Adam Hogue or Pat Finley. Whatever it is, there apparently was a day in the locker room at Halas Hall. It would have been maybe 15 or 16, where everyone was by Pernell McPhee's locker, and Larry came over, and Pernell goes, it's Zach Zaidman would give this, because this is his impression of it. Zach Zaidman said Pernell's eyes got big. He goes, "Oh my God, your lunch with Larry."
Larry must have loved that.
Yeah. No, Larry's great. Larry was actually, I'd probably let Larry win at a cage match. He was really helpful in, kind of helping me decide whether or not to take this job or not. I'd probably let Larry win. Now, if it was Bags at Donlan's, I'd probably beat Larry.
There you go.
Listen, when you look at Ryan Poles, can you talk a little bit about him? Because he does have a history with Ballard. You look at this hire from around the league, I'm sure you have some people that are familiar with this. You obviously covered the Bears with Ryan Pace, John Fox, the whole thing, the Ernie Accorsi stuff. From afar, what are your thoughts about Ryan Poles now being named the GM of the Bears?
I'll be totally honest. I was kind of wrapped up in some other stuff yesterday. I didn't even see that he got hired until it was later in the day. I don't know. I mean, look, if he's got this opportunity, he probably knows what he's doing. I think wasn't he a finalist with the Giants too?
He was with the finalist with the Giants and the Minnesota Vikings. Thought they had him.
And he was a finalist last year for Carolina.
Carolina last year too.
So look, these things don't just happen. That means that a lot of other people around the league think highly of him. I haven't checked in with some folks here in Indy on what their thoughts on him are. But I assume that if I, shot Chris Ballard a text tonight, he'd probably have a pretty glowing review of him. I can't, I don't know anything else really beyond that about the guy. Apologies. You
don't have to. I just threw that out there. I know Morocco Brown. You do know he was a finalist here. He came in to interview. But obviously he didn't get the job, but he had an experience here before under the Chicago Bears. But again, Ryan Poles it is here, but we had you scheduled because we had all these Colts in the building. Now they're all leaving, but Eberflus.
We'll just pull the clip of him saying he's going to kick the shit out of Larry Mayer, and we'll post that on Twitter for him.
No, it's funny, Phil. Like I had some family stuff last week.
Right.
It'd be like, great. Like I by the way, I feel like I've done like everyone's show. Like I did Waddle and Sylvie, I did Bernstein and Rahimi. I went on my old Under Center podcast. I did the Irish Bears show. I'm doing your guys' show. Like I feel like I'm the most like popular like kid at the dance right now because it's like, oh, like the Bears are interviewing all these Colts guys. Let's go to our Colts guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I felt bad because then, I was like, all right, like, please Bears don't make this hire until I can hop on with Draft Dr. Phil and Shane because like, I want to be able to talk about Morocco Brown because this dude's awesome.
Yeah.
And, the Bears made their decision. That's fine. I think they probably got a really good candidate. Morocco Brown's a really sharp dude. Ed Dodds is a really sharp dude. Those guys are going to be GMs someday, wherever it might be. You think about Ryan Paul, you said last year he was a finalist with Carolina. Like, it sometimes can be a slow process for these things, but we got some really, really sharp football minds in our building. Guys that, I talked to Chris Ballard about it last week on the podcast, and, he said, like, we want all our guys to reach the level professionally that they want to be at. And, if that's being a GM, like we want to do whatever we can to help them be a GM, whether that's, Ed Dodds, Morocco Brown, whoever it might be. But yeah, there's some really sharp football minds in this building. And it's really neat to see them work.
I could see energetically, and this isn't blowing smoke. Obviously, you seem like a happier man. That I'm serious, that you are covering a football team with a direction that has championship aspirations each and every year, with an owner that cares about the product and winning. You got a coach that I admire in Frank Reich, for the comeback of the century, winner, as well as a great coach. And I see the building that you've done there, not you personally, but these people that you're talking about, Morocco Brown, Eberflus, and Dodds, and Frank Reich, and Ballard. I thought Ballard was a shoo-in to be the Bears guy, and I was so disheartened and disappointed because I personally like Chris Ballard, and I thought he had that Olin Kreutz type of attitude that we're going to do everything in our fucking power to win and weed out all the bullshit in the building to get a championship, because that's what matters most, not how much money we make at the door. This is what I see in you. I see you happy, and you're covering this football team in the way that we miss you here in Chicago, covering the football team like you do so well. And that's not smoke. That's the reality of truth. You did such a great job here, and you were so gracious towards TTNL, and you understood what our fans mean to the Bears, and you understood the fanatical way we approached and analyzing tape first for truth, and uncovering the bullshit that Matt Nagy was spewing on the podium, and I felt like you were the voice for us, that I could text you like, you got to ask about this, and you would do it. And that meant a lot to us. So we miss you here. I know it's unfortunate. Maybe Eberflus gets hired tonight. That would be phenomenal. Then we have you back to talk.
Knowing the Bears, JJ, we'll have you back in 4 years when we hire another GM, right? And maybe it'll be Morocco Brown or Dots.
JJ, you should have hired Morocco when I was on.
Yeah, right. Run it back. No, I mean, look, the thing I miss the most about, being on the Bears beat is the fans. Like, I love talking to you guys. Like, you guys were like, I remember, like, I did one show with you guys. I was on with you guys for like an hour and 45 minutes. And like, it was a blast. Like, doing that and doing some of the other ones, like, Bears fans are smart. You can't BS you guys, and I love the connections we had, with the Under Center podcast, getting to know some fans. And, it was that part of it I genuinely miss. But man, like, dude, working for the Colts is awesome. Like, it's
great.
I didn't know how it was going to be, working for a team, kind of becoming inside media, but like, I don't know, maybe it's just the Colts, but like, it's great. Like the feeling of respect that, I kind of get every day working for the Colts and being a part of the team that we have. And our content team with the Colts, by the way, is like unbelievable how talented they are. I'm probably like the least talented person who works for the content team with the Colts. Like it's really cool to see the work that our guys and everyone do. But hey, look, when I got laid off from NBC, like I kind of had the thought of like, I don't know, like maybe I'll try to like stick around the Bears beat, but like I didn't want to get laid off again. Mm-hmm. And I knew that it was going to be kind of a tough decision to back away, but to be able to come here to Indy and then get this opportunity to talk to you guys, like, shoot, I mean, I've been talking to you guys for 40 minutes. It's felt like it's been like 10, It's always how it is coming on your show. So you got to find more excuses for me to come back. Even if the Bears don't hire any Colts guys, like, hey, I don't know, maybe Bears will play the Colts in the preseason. Got that game coming up in 2024, which is right around the corner. You got to have me back on then.
Maybe we can trade you Nick Foles so you can have a quarterback.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Doesn't Foles and Foles if they go together?
Foles and Foles.
By the way, guys, I'm going to leave you with this because you're going to kick me off when I say this one. The only take I have on Ryan Poles.
Yes.
So what I want to see, I do want to see the Bears maybe make a run at that wide receiver from Dallas who's going to be a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
But before they do, they gotta take the temperature of the fans. You guys, you matter the most. So what they need to do is take a Gallup polls.
There you go.
Oh, Gallup polls.
He's got the dad jokes. It's almost like you have twins, JJ.
Listen, yeah. I mean, I have been working on that material. Poor Kevin.
Did Cam Ellis text you that one?
No, but I texted that to Kevin Fishbane and got like a thumbs down immediately. Like Kevin bears the
Cars put his head down, and he's our biggest nerd in the background. He didn't feel that one either. So
I said you were going to kick me off after that.
I didn't kick you off. I kept you on.
So
I
just got a text from Jim Irsay. He said, "Who the hell is this guy?" So I'm kidding.
Hey, by the way, really, really cool little story though. With our friend Jeff Dickerson.
Yes.
So, the GoFundMe goes up for Parker, and it was the day we record our podcast. So I talked a little bit about JD on the podcast, just kind of made a mention of it, and then kind of ran it up the flagpole a little bit of like, hey, I don't know if Mr. Irsay would be willing to, contribute to this.
Yeah, he sure did.
And then shoot, a couple hours later, there was $25,000 from Mr. Irsay.
He did it before the Bears did it.
Yeah.
He did. Well, he put that in. He set the
bar. That was the mark.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like he came in third with that. Like he came in and said $25,000. This kid, he deserves it. And, it's something that's close to one of our employees, and he showed up, and then you saw the other 25,000s pour in after that.
Yeah.
That was really cool. So just another example of like how great it is to work for a team like the Colts.
Today's JD's birthday.
It is. Yeah. It, would have been 44, which is crazy. And
sad.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough. God bless JD and his son, and God bless you, man. Definitely. I said I'm like a magician. We'll make it work, even if news breaks that Dan Quinn is the new coach while you're on the air. We'll make it work because you're just a tremendous human being. That's not blowing smoke. I totally enjoy you, the person, as well as the football guy. You always keep it 100. Even if we don't agree on stuff, we joke back and forth, and that's what makes it so much fun. So really appreciate you taking some time out, carving some time out with us to talk about our Chicago Bears and the Colt relationship. It might still happen, everything, every source, every whisper isn't in truth. So we'll see. I'm excited about Eberflus, the man. I want to see where he goes. Frank Reich was the last coach hired, if you remember, and passed over. Eberflus, I know you started this at the top, was hired by McDaniels, and then McDaniels bounced on him, and he was left. Was Frank going to keep this guy? They don't have a relation. And look what the story. So
what's happened. Yep.
That stuff could never go overlooked.
Yeah.
He's the man. He's on the Colts beat now, writing over there at the Colts website and for the team, right?
Yep.
And where can they find you? Still could follow you on Twitter, right?
Same old spot at JJ Stankevitz. Yep. And you can go read me on Colts.com if you're interested. I would say, like, if you guys just want to get a look into how the Colts operate as an organization, I did a podcast with Chris Ballard. My colleague Lara Overton and I did a podcast. We sat down with him for about 20 minutes last week, and just got to kind of chat with him about some stuff. And it's 20 minutes. It's not going to kill your day or anything. But if you want to go check it out, it's on the Colts Audio Network, wherever you get your podcasts. Go give it a listen. Just kind of get a taste of what it's like. Kind of getting over a really terrible ending to the season, but just in how we process things here in Indy. I'm impressed every time I talk to Chris. But this is a really interesting conversation. So if you're looking for something to do for 20 minutes this week, killing time waiting for the Bears to release whatever smoke it is from Halas Hall, which, by the way, I hope it's like beef juice.
Yeah.
The Bears should announce everything with I take it back. It should be the big flat iron grills that they got at Sox Park, where you got the brats and the Polishes and the onions. It should just be the smoke from those.
So it's like the Pope.
Yeah,
exactly. The new coach.
It's
this brat smoke.
Delicious smell of brats,
sausage and
Polishes
peppers
and onions. Man, I gotta get back to Sox Park now. And the lockout.
Yeah, Jesus, crazy.
I don't care about baseball.
I know.
Focused on football. You guys can talk baseball. I love you, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yep.
Good
A lot
to
of
see you, JJ.
fans in
Thank
the
you so
chat.
much.
Miss you, JJ.
Yep. Miss you
Thank
guys
you for
too.
jumping on the show, man. God bless you.
We'll
and
get you a TTNL hat.
I sent him some swag.
Yeah,
you still have it?
I should have. I should have wore it. It's up in my closet. Yeah,
I know.
Hey, next
you don't
time.
love me enough.
I got you next time, Phil.
All right.
Later,
JJ.
fellas.
All right, JJ Stankevitz, Shayne. JJ Stankevitz on the show tonight, getting you ready. Look at this guy. Nerd alert. Where is that? You can get a nerd alert?
Nerd alert. Cars gave us the perfect intro right there with that soundbite. Before JJ came on, Phil, here is our friend talking about Ryan Poles before he took the job. It's a little bit.
We're going back to where we were talking.
A little
before
conglomeration.
Cool. We can make up words as we go along.
People are just tuning in. First of all, Why don't you play?
I think if we're making up words, Phil used the word "embedded" during the JJ interview. So
did I?
Yeah.
I love anything that's inbreaded. Like if you put cheese in bread, it is fantastic.
Embedded, I said. I thought embedded in
what?
Definitely said embedded, but here we go.
Chiefs Executive Director of Player Personnel Ryan Poles this week for their general manager opening, and reportedly the results pretty good. Pretty good.
Poles impresses me because he has definitely, I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, been involved in fixing some of the things the Vikings desperately need to fix.
The question is, can Poles do more than just the draft? And can he do more than just offensive line? I think yes is the short answer. Can he handle free agency on his own? Yes.
That's attractive. Like he basically played a role in doing things that the Vikings have struggled to do. Now,
keep an open mind, but Ryan Poles, I think the Vikings do have a winner here. So
also where Mentz is coming from, I feel like Poles, while being a little bit more of a football guy, also has a little bit more that you can sink your teeth into as far as his past and say, that's impressive.
Yeah, Ryan Poles' resume definitely got a little bit of a bump. Yeah, Mahomes. Kelsey was a 3rd-round pick. Tyreek Hill was a 5th-round pick. But also the way that they transformed the offensive line, Ryan Poles is a big part of that. So, yeah, I think that, to me, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, I think, is going to be – he's obviously brilliant. I think he's going to do good things wherever he ends up in the league. But for me, just like Poles, I think Poles is the best combination of old-school meat and potato scouting as well as some new school ideas. And may come down between him choosing between the Bears and the Vikings.
I am not concerned that the Vikings are going to lose their top choice just because the Bears are going to talk to him on Tuesday.
If Poles somehow chooses the Bears, and then that means ipso facto by default the Vikings choose Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the Vikings will of course spin it that Adofo-Mensah was the guy all along. Ryan Poles is garbage.
I think going to the Vikings just makes so much more sense than going to the Chicago Bears.
I am not panicked one bit,
but no, and that would hurt. Like, I've grown attached to Ryan Poles, man. But, yeah, if he chooses the Bears, he's dead to me.
That there's no way that he would be signed up to talk to both the Bears and Vikings and just say to the Vikings after Tuesday, hey, peace out, I'm staying in Chicago.
And
I like the part. I like the part when he said, I like Poles, and his hand motion was like this, because it was like, what are we? Nicely done. Nicely done. Yeah.
And then, Shayne, you got to upload the previous clip because we're so far removed. Our audience can't remember. Do you have now what they're saying? Can you upload? Did you delete that?
No.
Or is it still up there?
I believe I have it right here. Hold on a second. You put me on the spot here. Little breaking NFL news.
What do you got?
There is some momentum building for Brian Daboll to be the next head coach for the Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
Well, anytime
plays are nice. They're good.
Anytime you can go work with Tua, I mean, that's really, basically throw it.
They're running back that championship team cars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
can't wait till Waddle's got averaging like 3.5 yards of reception next year. That'll be.
Let's talk about Daboll real quick while we got it.
And the Bears, they have a garbage rooster, a marginal offensive line, aging veterans, and no.
A garbage rooster. I don't know what that is, but hold on.
And the Bears, they have a garbage rooster, a marginal offensive line, aging veterans, and no 1st-round pick. It's like, I like a challenge. Go ahead. It would be too easy to win with the Vikings or have a chance to win with the Vikings because there was no guarantee that I was getting that job anyway, even though it's a better job. Yeah, okay. Okay. And the Bears.
The newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie. Hands down the easiest way to butter your.
That's his polls. That's the only polls he's got.
The newest invention here is called the Cobb Quickie.
How could any fan watch that show and it's just like.
I know
one day you say one thing, the very next day, it's that same thing. It's the kid who asked the girl from the prom on Friday gets rejected. On Monday, he's telling everybody he never wanted to go with her ever anyway. Though that's what I call a fraudulent pussy. That's what that is. I'm
Phil,
just sorry.
Their fans wear long-haired, braided blonde wigs. I don't know.
They're the worst fans I've said that before. They're the worst fans. Speaking of fans, Shane, do we have a fan in the stand? No, we don't. Let's bring this guy on to talk a little bit more about the coaching.
Bears fans, honestly, at this point, this guy doesn't even need an introduction. But guess what? We're giving him one anyway.
Keeping it 100.
Ladies and gentlemen, football is a game about what? That's right, determination.
Determined by determination.
A Brooklyn, New York native, this guy would suit up at Lafayette High School under the esteemed tutelage of head coach Sam Rutigliano.
One time, baby. One time. One time.
From there, he would head east to Mississippi Junior College and then on to the Cornhuskers of Nebraska.
And here are the Nebraska Cornhuskers roughing into Memorial Stadium.
Before settling at Trinity of Texas, where he was a starter for 3 straight seasons and became an All-American offensive guard. You still have some left in the tank, coach? We need some offensive line help here in Chicago. After his playing days, this guy really made a name for himself at Lyman Hall, coaching the sport and the kids he loved in the stadium that now bears his name.
Ottochian.
Bears fans, TTNL fans, football fans, get up out your seats and give it up for a guy so damn good, he made a junior version of himself.
They're running Patterson on a toss sweep gimmick. This is a coach that has no concept.
We are honored to introduce the former Walter Camp Coach of the Year, the Walter Camp Hall of Famer, the Connecticut Hall of Fame coach. He's our coach.
You got to load up on him or you go backwards.
He's Philip Ottochian Sr.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made it.
Phil, can you hear me? This is your dad speaking. Can you hear me?
I'm in space.
I'm so
This is
glad
your
you
dad.
stopped that clip with Mark Rebele where you did, because it was going to get really.
I said, hey, oh, baby, oh, bring that fat ass.
Cars, Jesus, Cars.
Yeah, like I'm going to have control of the clipboard here. Sure.
What's up, Coach?
Dad,
Hey, how you
Coach
doing?
Ottochian on your first appearance ever, keeping it 100.
All right.
And you've never met our Cars, our nerd, right here.
How you doing, Carl?
Buddy.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Dad, the talk of the night. We got a GM. They got rid of Nagy and Pace. Let's start there first, because you haven't had your say about that. You said it, not me. You said these guys are playing like a bunch of pussies. And that was under Coach Nagy. And you saw it for years on the offensive line, the defensive secondary, constant missed assignments and tackles, and just blown coverages that cost you games. This isn't a roster that's bottom of the barrel like the Vikings fans are trying to say there. This is a great, talented roster. Am I right? And are you happy that they've gotten rid of Nagy and Pace?
Oh, definitely. Now we got to find out if it's going to last. That's what I want to know. I want to know how good these guys are going to be, whoever's going to be the coach. And of course, I shared some things with you, Phil, but I don't know anything about this GM, but I could tell you one thing. I know about some of the coaches out there, and there's some good ones. And I was talking.
Go ahead.
I was talking to you about on the phone the other night about Dan Quinn, and I said, this guy, he turned that defense around, and I know he didn't succeed. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but he really succeeded in getting there. I mean, he's the head coach and got it there. First of all, when you're looking for a head coach, you want to have, especially in the NFL, you want to have a guy that has experience. if he's been a head coach before, that's a big plus. That puts you check one of the boxes off. Now, how successful he was successful. He failed, right? I mean, he lost the game 28-3. He was up and they lost the game. It's a terrible thing. But let me tell you something. Any coach worth his salt is always going to correct that. Now, this guy became an assistant, the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys last year. Their defense, in your words, Phil, sucked.
Yes.
Before that. And all of a sudden, they're one of the number one defensive teams in the NFL. They were really good. They were outstanding.
Right.
That was one of the strong points in that team, without a doubt.
And
but anyway.
you look at Belichick, your coach, the guy that you say is the best. Obviously, I don't think it's debatable what Belichick has been able to do with every roster. Again, people will find their stats or whatever, but
in every staff, Phil, like they've gone through 7 defensive coordinators, 7 offensive coordinators. Like that's absurd how they've continued that success.
And he's turned over head coaches all around the league. And this guy has always been, successful. So in his first stint, to your point, he was not successful with the Cleveland Browns, even though he brought them to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So people forget that he brought the Browns to the playoffs. But to my point here and to yours, how much do you believe that Dan Quinn has invested in this next opportunity? Because I think as somebody wants a job, I think the second time, especially in football, you might get 2 chances. So I think this motivation on him is something that shouldn't be overlooked.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really think he's an excellent coach. But the great thing about it is, can you change guys around that quick? They must have really believed
what
in
he
this
did
guy.
with the Cowboys.
Yes,
talking about
yes,
it.
yes.
They were the worst defense, maybe
Right.
top 5 worst defenses the year before. To your point,
Yeah, and he turns it around. So that he's got something. Now, I don't know the guy personally. I haven't even seen him in an interview, but I can tell you one thing: he was a head coach, and he turned that defense around. He's got something going for himself. Now, is that my first choice? No, I said he's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first choice, what I felt like you did. It's Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Jim Harbaugh, obviously, rumors are out there that he wanted 10 years, $100 million. I want to address this, and I'll let everybody else address it, and then we'll bring on our next guest, because tonight's full of guests, full of surprises tonight. But if you can pay a quarterback $18 million, who's a giraffe, terrible, and whatever, $18 million a year, you could pay players upwards of $70-80 million. The coach is the most important thing. So if the McCaskies, now this is just my opinion, I want to see around the table here. If Harbaugh is the guy that you believe in, then you pay him that. You go away from what you've done and what everybody thinks you should do. And if he's the guy that's going to get you to a constant winning organization, just like the Patriots. Patriots had a rookie quarterback. They went to the playoffs despite it. They didn't celebrate getting out of a fucking 6-game losing streak and try to say look at this. This is progress. The losing culture that has been the Chicago Bears needs a penicillin. Now, it could be Dan Quinn. That's the penicillin. It could be Eberflus. It could be Jim Caldwell at 67 years old. It could be. I don't know. I'm not Miss Cleo. I'm not a psychic. But I know one thing. Out of all of the candidates, Jim Harbaugh has done it everywhere. Stanford, San Diego State, San Francisco 49ers, and then he did it again with Michigan. Is everybody in agreement? Like, are we worrying about it? There's no cap for a coach. Are you worrying about money, Shayne?
No, in terms of a coach, I'm not. I just don't think it's like I said, I don't think it's even close to being in the cards at this point. I don't. I think they've locked down into who it's going to be. And maybe if they don't get something done tonight, I mean, the Chicago Bears within the past 40 minutes sent out a press release saying that they've wrapped up second interviews with Dan Quinn and Matt Eberflus. Yeah.
Yep.
So you know how in the Chicago Bear way, we're all going to fall asleep tonight, and probably about 3:40 a.m. they're gonna it's gonna be overnight, early breakfast with Larry Mayer, where they'll announce that Dan Quinn is the next head coach of the Chicago Bears.
I hope they don't do that. That's just
and then we can hear about McCaskey not wearing a suit to go pick up Dan Quinn from the airport or something ridiculous.
I'll tell you, Phil, I know you won't agree with this, but the thinking is this is Ryan Poles is here. Ryan Poles is the guy swinging the big stick. We've already heard him talk about, or not him talk about, but Cap talked about him essentially laying down the hammer and telling McCaskey and Phillips and Bill Polian that I'm going to be doing the interviewing, and it's going to be me doing the interviewing, nobody else. And if you're not going to respect that, then I'm going to bounce up to Minnesota to see what they have to say.
Absolutely.
At this point, I honestly think bringing up Jim Harbaugh is fruitless, because I just don't see Ryan Poles as a first-time general manager going out. There's zero connection there. I mean, if they just went out and totally blew his doors in just financially, I think maybe you could talk about that. But I don't see Ryan Poles bringing in a guy like Jim Harbaugh as his first hire that's gonna want a lot of power too, because this is his show now. He's gonna shape this in the form that he wants it. And I just think at this point we're wasting time talking about Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, I think probably all of us to a man would agree. Number one pick for him coming here, except for cars. Right, except for cars. But at this point, I would be pretty shocked even if he opens it up, Phil, if he doesn't hire Eberflus, Caldwell, or Quinn, and if he opens it up and maybe he goes to a couple other candidates, I still don't think it'll be Jim Harbaugh.
Let me bring this guy.
Bears fans, when you're not listening to all the dope TTNL content we're pumping out on a daily basis, I suggest you check out the rundown for our next guest. This guy is the new host of the Undercenter podcast from NBC Sports Chicago, the host of the That Davis Show and Flippin' Friends. But tonight, he's going to turn the hosting duties over to Phil and Shayne, so he can sit back and chop it up with the fellas and talk some collaboration, Chicago style. TTNL fans, he's Kenneth Davis.
There he is, Kenneth Davis, checking his tweets. He's getting updates as we speak, worrying about the head coach.
Not at all.
Kenneth, thanks for jumping on the show. Obviously, big news. You're a big part of it. You do such a tremendous job on the Undercenter podcast, and you're such a friend of this network. To get you on with the whole show tonight, we got my dad.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, buddy.
Shout out to your dad.
There he is. Sir. You guys met on X's with the O's. Down defenses.
My guy Barlissimo.
With Barlissimo, me, you, and my dad. We saw the lack of accountability. Now they got a new GM. Let's start there, Ken. What are your thoughts? Obviously, you heard us talking about Harbaugh.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one afterwards.
Yeah, I want your.
What's up, my man Shayne? I like how Shayne brings rationality to the show. So how you doing, Shayne?
That's the only reason I'm here, Kenneth.
You have to.
Phil's got a bottle rocket up his ass, and I'm right there with a hose, just
you wait. So do you want? Since you know what? Just for continuality's sake, do you want to do my hardball take right now?
Yes, let's do.
All right, let me do my hardball take now. I would be happy if Jim Harbaugh was the head coach of Chicago Bears. There's not a chance in hell I'm giving him $100 million contract. You know why? Because John Gruden shouldn't have had a $100 million contract. There's one coach, maybe Sean Payton. There's one coach in the NFL that deserves that type of power. One, because he's proven he will win regardless. And we all know he's over there by you in New England. That's Bill Belichick. This guy hasn't won a Super Bowl, and we're going to give him $100 million. I mean, this is the McCaskies. All right, just think about this field. Just think about this. If it goes south, right? Just to say, if it doesn't work, they wouldn't fire him until year 8 with how much money they would have to pay him. So we'd be stuck. Like, no. Like that's again. If you're telling me, do I want Jim Harbaugh? Yes. Would I give him $100 million? Hell no. Hell no.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
You know what happened when you get $100 million to some people, and I don't know if this is Jim Harbaugh, you stop working. That's what you do when you get $100 million. All right, it's like you kick your feet up when you get that $100 million. That's it. That's my take on Harbaugh. It's not even on do I want him as a coach. Bill Belichick is the only guy I would give $100 million to.
Would you give Nick Saban $100 million to come?
Listen, first of all, Roll Tide all day, forever. All right, never would I give Nick Saban $100 million. Not in the pros. And wait. So now we're just saying anybody can do anything now, right? There's one guy. Listen, no, there's two guys. Okay. All right. One guy's dead. His name is Bill Walsh. Then there's Belichick. All right. Those are the two gentlemen who would get $100 million contract. The rest of these fools, and I mean it, and I'm saying they're high level, $100 million. Oh, and the problem is you can't toss them. Look at the Raiders, for instance. They were doing nothing with Gruden. I think if Gruden was still there, they wouldn't have made the playoffs, to be honest with you. I could be wrong, but I'll say this much. They were stuck because he couldn't fire them, and you weren't getting anything out of them. They weren't getting $10 million a year out of their head coach.
And that's why they couldn't get Harbaugh either, because they still have to pay Gruden his 10 a season. They couldn't pay another guy 10 on top of it.
I'm not just there's one guy that you toss a blank check to, and you already have him by you. And unfortunately, when you were young, you didn't go to New England. I'm with you. I was back in the 80s. I'm all Bears, but man, it'd been nice to grow up in New England in the aughts, boy, as a young kid, and you wake up to championships every year, but. Still, no, man, I'm not giving these cats.
Kenneth, if you remove the money from it, just from Ryan Pohl's perspective, being 36 years old, finally having all of the say, you come in and say, I'm going to be doing the interviews. Could you see Ryan Pohl's even wanting to I can't see him going out
because you would have to bring in the power.
Guy. Exactly. You're giving it away. Right.
And then also look at it like this.
Yes.
Who has a closer connection? Who has a closer connection with ownership? You or Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah.
So even in the power play with ownership, he's their former quarterback, right? You're gonna lose. He's the more important person. Let's start off with that. Jim Harbaugh would be the more important person in that duo, right? So already he would have leverage over you, a younger cat, but still, regardless of age, you can be 70 and it wouldn't matter because of just the cachet that Jim Harbaugh has, particularly here in Chicago, being a former player. All right, so then he has more leverage, and let alone if y'all get into it, it's a wrap, right? Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't see it, and I'll say this too, is to get to the Ryan Pohl's part. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll find out. I'll say this, and I said it on Under Center when we did an emergency live stream. He was the person the day before looking at the candidates that I was like, yeah, they should probably go with him. Because just looking at where they came from, it made the most sense. They've done the most winning. The drafting isn't bad. If he was the person I was like, if they can get him, they should probably get him. But outside of that, now it's wait and see, to be honest with you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's wishing on a star, and they don't have the equity where we can say, well, it definitely should work out.
No.
I hope it hits. Believe me, I hope it hits. I hope we finally have a guy that we can be like, we don't have to worry because we have so-and-so. But we've never had that guy outside of Finks, all right, really my lifetime. So we'll see if he's the man. I don't think it's bad, but I'll say this. If Dan Quinn, and we've all heard Dan Quinn may be the guy that's going to be hired, you know what I'm saying? It hasn't come down yet. But if he's the person, I'm going to have some questions, and it may be from a lack of knowledge. I'm going to have some questions on how much power he truly has. Now, perhaps him and Dan Quinn, I'm sure a lot of these guys have talked about working with each other during this period of time. So it's not just that the Bears would be connecting them. I'm sure they're like, hey, you know what I'm saying, just in case, you think we could work together. But the fact that if it looks that Poles will not have an opportunity to interview anyone outside of those three, it's for me, regardless of what's been said, it reeks of you may not have as much control right now as supposedly you're supposed to. I could be wrong, but I would love to see him, like, for instance, how can you get that job and Eric Bieniemy not get an interview? Now, are you asking me, do I want Eric Bieniemy to be my head coach? No. All right, that's right. Not that I don't. But as far as just propping him up, that would benefit him. And I'll also say this: if I was Eric Bieniemy, and I said this on that Davis show,
I'll be back, Phil.
If I was Eric Bieniemy, I would. I love it. If I was Eric Bieniemy, dog, that's the sweetest. I'm not for real.
Coach doesn't want Eric Bieniemy. He tapped out.
He's like, Bieniemy, I gotta get the hell out. I'm surprised Cars didn't leave too.
Right. But being someone who was close to his pops and my pops passed, I'm happy. You have all these years. I love that you having your pops. So anyway, the Bieniemy thing. I'll tell you this: if I was Eric Bieniemy, I would go somewhere else and be an offensive coordinator. Yeah. Like I will. You have to leave. You have to leave. You have to. You have to leave.
Rivera did it.
Rivera you have to go. It's not going to work, especially if allegedly you interview bad. It's not going to matter if you can go somewhere else and prove you're the man. They'll find someone to help you with the media or whatever, right? But you got to get out of there because you're not getting a fair shake.
Is there enough? Like I said, and it's. I don't know what's true and I don't know, what's not. But a simple Google search, I mean, there's a lot of really bad stuff potentially connected in his past. And I said at this point with Bieniemy,
okay,
I said it's just
I got to do a Google search then, Shayne.
Oh,
I haven't done
yeah,
that.
you got to look at it.
But see, but that's the problem coming on this show. You find out about secretaries, and I'm not here for all of that, y'all. I'm not here for all of that. All right.
All we have is a barber, and he don't do shit. Look at him. But no, I mean that's what it is. I think Adam Hogue alluded to it a little bit. I mean, at some point when we know that the offense is successful and it's going to be more so tied to Andy Reid. I mean, we live that here through Matt Nagy, but at some point,
I want to Google this right now. You got me.
Oh
yeah.
But do I really want to find out, man?
It's not good. It's not good, Kenneth.
What down? What can you tell me? Is this like off field type of stuff? Like how are we going?
Is it
Tyreek
back
Hill?
in college?
Worse.
It's back in college.
Just want to bring
so I don't know if you can hold this all.
No. But that's what I'm saying at this point.
But the media will.
No.
Be the first thing Mike North brings up. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just.
I mean, let me bring this up.
That's not the first thing. It's way worse than that. There are words that Mike North used that should never be repeated, probably first, and then he'd go into that. Absolutely.
Well, I can't dive into that one. I'm older now. I'm older. Almost got me with that one, guys.
Hey,
almost got me.
We keep it 100 here. Not a fan.
You keep it 100 over there.
I push back. I look at you guys look at 100. I look at 10 million a year, and I think.
But it's
Jim
Harbaugh,
Harbaugh.
So you got to look at the 100 coaches contract.
I do,
is
but I'm breaking it up, and I believe the goal
still
is
adds
to
up
win.
to 100.
The goal is to win. So
I know
I'm okay if what's his name Rule got 68 million. down there. Where is he at? Carolina.
And that owner regrets that move. Like all those big
Jim
money-
Harbaugh
1 year in,
is,
yeah.
he's a penicillin to what the Chicago. But Shane, I'll say this: keep 100%. Like the polls hiring, and Kenneth, you're 100% right. The power of Harbaugh supersedes the young GM that you're trying to prop up into the situation of now he's in charge. Now, if he is truly in charge and he doesn't give an interview with Dave Tobe and Eric Bieniemy that are in that building, Tobe, they've talked about a lot. They don't, or he just doesn't widen the search.
Well, if Ryan Poles doesn't bring in Eric Bieniemy, does that not speak volumes?
Yes.
But I'll say this though: if what you guys have sent me, if that's what's been holding him back, then I can't necessarily say that. If that's around the league has been holding him back, then I can't necessarily say that the McCaskies would necessarily want to bring that here.
Yeah.
So,
of course not.
So and I mean, again, that to say that wasn't terrible. What I just saw right there, I won't even touch it. It's not even worth me even touching it.
Yeah. And it's not. It's not what you just. It's not even. It's not even just that. That's the bad part.
That, you know what I'm saying? But again, I want the search widened just for the sake of proving that this young man actually really does have the power that he's supposed to have. And it's one thing too, and I was just thinking about this prior to coming onto the show. Is George McCaskey trying to like pull like a fast one on us, right? Because on one hand, you can play again where he says, "I'm just a fan," right? But in just being a fan, you're again are structuring your team inorganically, basically. What it seems like right now, and I could be again wrong, but the same thing that you did with Ernie Accorsi when you had Ryan Pace and you forced John Fox upon him allegedly, right? And you said you don't know what you're doing, right? And I know you're supposed to be, well, Bill Polian is in charge. Well, Bill Polian is in charge, and Bill Polian decided that Ryan Poles was the guy. Now it's time for everyone to move out the way and let Ryan Poles do his job. And in that, you still, and if there's anybody that Ryan Poles and perhaps Polian to a degree want to help infuse his front office with, because he's basically the de facto president of football operations, I'm down with that. But everything else, you basically need to let this young man do it if he's really supposed to be in charge and if it's really supposed to work, along with all these connections from the different GMs he's worked under in Kansas City. Why not let him use those connections to build his group together? Let him, like, you have to see, or you have to think, and I'll go back to last week when I was on here and Ted Phillips insulted us when he said, I have no regrets about Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. Okay.
The hiring of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, I don't regret that.
Lies.
The point that I was trying to get to in that, right? Let's take Matt Nagy out of it. But Ryan Pace, if you have no regret over hiring Ryan Pace, then what went wrong? And we could say one of the initial things that went wrong, that if he was looking at a Dan Quinn or whoever back at that time that he was looking at, you didn't let him go do it, right? Exactly. So are you about to commit the same mistake again? Basically, by you force feeding someone. If this kid's gonna fail, let him fail on his own accord. You know, like that's the thing. If I'm gonna die, let me die on my. Don't push me on my sword. Let me die on my sword. All right. If I'm gonna go out, but if you're gonna sit here and you already told us, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but yet you got your hands meddling up in everything, then it seems like a remedy for failure again, in my opinion.
I think the big thing that is the difference when you look back to when Ryan Pace got here and John Fox being forced on him, there's no comparison to the roster. I mean, it's not close at all.
It's night and day.
You look at all the turmoil, and this is where I'll give Matt Nagy a little bit of credit here. Believe it or not, you look at all the turmoil and everything that the Bears have been through since 2019 and beyond. The Bears are talked about like they're a 2-win football team. Honestly, in the national media and even amongst fans, like they're one of the worst. The franchise itself is bad, but the roster isn't perfect, but it's leaps and bounds.
The cupboards were bare back then. Yeah. I mean, like let's be honest. John Fox, if I was John Fox, I would have taken a year off. I thought he needed a break from football, right? Yeah. After Denver, I thought he should have went to TV, taken some time off, because to me it was burnt out, but he saw a check and he went for it. But did he get a fair shake with how bad? Remember Phil Emery and Tressman stripped that joint down on defense, and then the things they did on offense didn't even work. So, I mean, really, the only thing we had good going back then was Vic Fangio. You know, like that was the only thing. It was like, wait, this defense is starting to play, right? It was like
you can go back into a press conference and Fangio literally says out loud to the public that the roster was right. He's like, I don't even know what that was. Yeah. I mean, James Anderson, DJ Williams, I love DJ Williams as a prospect and in the NFL, but at that point when he came to Chicago, it was just for him to get another, not a huge paycheck, but he wasn't a good for that entire roster.
Williams, oh my god,
and
I can't remember some of these
Antrell
guys.
Roll.
Antrell Roll. He was rolling. He was rolling a freaking 4.98 40.
Oh,
yeah. But the difference, like part of the reason that happened is with Pace having only the Saints history, like he didn't have a lot of exposure to other staffs, other front offices, everything, right? Like the difference there is, yes, Poles has been in just with Kansas City with 3 different GMs. So it feels like with him, they're basically like, well, you don't really have a coaching tree. You've just been around Sean Payton and nobody else. You don't know the coaches. You don't have the connections, which again probably should have been a bigger warning sign than it was. But that's why the force happened, because I think fully that Ryan Pace is like, who should I, Ernie? Who do I hire? I have no idea right now, and that's for sure how all that happened.
Well, I said it. Ryan Pace had no balls, and it's to Ken's point. You got to hope that Poles and Kaplan was with you. I have the clip that he's saying he's leaving to go to Minneapolis if he doesn't have the right to decide who the coach is. Now, I know for a fact, I just don't know how many, but every GM that was interviewed is being asked first or second question, who would you want to work with as a coach? So they got to come in with a name. They have to, exactly. They have to come in with a name. So for all we know, they did the second interviews based on, or the first interviews based on all of the GMs that were interviewed's names. So they put them in and they brought them in first. And they deliberated via their, the Soup Campbell crew, I call them. So they deliberated.
Well, you really got a thing with that, man.
I like this dude. I like Soupy
gracious.
Campbell. So once they got out of that, with Bill Polian and company, Tanisha, now it's on him. I happen to agree with Kenneth. I believe he should open the doorways to other candidates, but
he could be doing that right now, Phil, because I mean,
we don't know.
I
was told earlier
he could be, and I have we've chatted. Quinn is in the background. All right.
Quinn didn't leave the building. Apparently.
We're not saying he has the job, but we're saying it's a chance that he has the job. All right.
There was a report
like that.
Exactly.
But real quick, Shane. This is the only thing I'll say to your point. You're right. He could be interviewing other people, but you know what you should do? If you're gonna give this job to Quinn, wait a day. And tomorrow, just like you've put out those little plaque, that little image with the coach and that you interviewed or whatever, whoever the candidates were, do that with 2 people. So at least we believe that he has a little bit more
optics of it. Yeah, the optics of it will pay off. Publicly, it is a great point. And that's the thing. But Albert Breer had a report, when it seems to be that Poles was clearly the number 1 in Minnesota. Clearly. And, everybody hears me say this show after show. There's a lot of poker involved in the NFL, especially. I mean, his agent, you got to give him credit. All right, we're scheduled Tuesday in Minnesota. Yeah, so I'll take I'll take a meeting on Monday in Chicago, because then I can really hold their feet to the fire, because then I'm going to go here. But it's just, I don't know, man. I think he was connected. Albert Breer connected him in Minnesota and brought up names like Kevin O'Connell, the OC
Rams
for the Rams.
Oh Lord, no.
That Poles was connected to him, and I said, "Is that going to be the
surprise interview?
Surprise come out of nowhere because he's obviously involved in playing this weekend. If you don't see something tomorrow, that's something that I would think about. And I mean, I think you have to give Poles with this being his first thing. Listen, you don't think that he's aware of when I'm with Ryan Pace and when John Fox came here?
Oh,
he knows that. His agent knows that. He knows that he's got to get this right. If you get fired as a general manager, it's pretty rare that you get a second shot at it. You don't get another bite at the apple,
especially if you haven't been overwhelmingly successful. I think that's the key.
And who
exactly?
I know fans, short for fanatic, and we're all just as excited to see what direction this goes. But at this point, Ryan Poles has been hired, and Joe Shayne has been hired.
The other kid, the other dude, they hired the dude in Minnesota.
Yeah. So, but for the GMs,
nerd.
What head coach has been hired that we lost out on?
None.
Exactly. So that's my point. So
all you keep hearing is the manipulation of fan bases of who they like. So I hear Dan Quinn's a finalist with the Giants. Daboll is a finalist with the Miami Dolphins and the Giants. Quinn's a finalist. Caldwell. Let's look at these names honestly. Let's rank your name. Rank the names. For me, based on all of the guys that are in the picture on the show board. So let me remind you, there's Jim Harbaugh, Brian Flores. Dennis Allen is out because Sean Payton is retired. He's probably going to step into the role with the Saints, but who knows? So we'll erase
Lonnie
him.
said that with Kenneth. I believe you're on that one, right, Kenneth?
Also, the offensive coordinator is somebody down there that people have talked up. His name escapes me at this moment. So
in New Orleans,
again, I'm with you. I think
Carmichael.
I think it's Carmichael. Carmichael is someone that gets chatted up too. But
Daboll.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So we got Daboll, Harbaugh, Quinn, Caldwell, Flores. Who am I missing here? Nathaniel Hackett.
Eberflus. Don't forget Flus.
Eberflus. Yes, we talked about him. Flus. We talked about him with JJ Stankevitz.
How was the JJ? How was the JJ?
JJ was great, man. I love JJ.
I love JJ, man. JJ, the best.
JJ's a great human being too.
Yes.
So who else cars am I missing on my Leftwich, who was hired in Jack?
Well, he wasn't. He was. They thought they were going to come to an agreement, but the contract hit a snag and he left.
So
now they're talking about it.
Todd Bowles, thank you, Anthony Gordon and Logan. So Todd Bowles, that's 11. 11 guys I just named. Okay, so obviously we've talked about Harbaugh enough.
I'll go on to this. I'll tell you what excites me the most out of all these guys is, well, at this point it's a rumor, but there's been Cap has talked about it, and I know the Bears blog guy has been spot on because of his connection with who in the front office, Ted Phillips. But anyways, I won't say it out loud. The thing that excites me the most is hearing that Dan Quinn, the staff that he's going to bring in, has reportedly been extremely impressive. The coaching staff that he's connected to. I don't have the names, but Cap.
So who's the offensive coordinator? Can you just tell me who the OC is? That's because I don't really care with him. I don't care who the DC is, to be honest with you. It's not a concern of mine.
I think honestly, I think Caldwell is in play as an offensive
thought that
coordinator.
too. I thought I wouldn't be as mad. I wouldn't be mad with him being OC, but I don't want him as my head coach.
Kenneth, that's the move though. If you're worried about, listen, if you hit in Chicago on offense. And your offensive coordinator is going to be very likely one and done. If not, he's definitely gone after year 2 if the offense is rolling. My point is with Caldwell is if you have confidence in him, call him plays as an offensive coordinator, as your OC. His window to be a head coach in the NFL, he's 67 right now. I don't know if there's going to be people beating down his door at 68 or 69.
Somebody a big fan of Joe, man. He's been a head coach. I'm with you. But
Yeah.
if he's like, just think about it. If Justin Fields takes off,
sure,
yeah,
someone to give him a chance. And then you know what they'll key in on? They'll key in on the Detroit years. They'll be like, man, look at that. The kiddies are bad. You know, and look at what they threw his ass away, basically. But getting back to something that you just said, Shane, again, this would kind of strike a nerve with me, and I could be wrong. Because I thought about, okay, if the Bears are looking at Caldwell as the OC, right? The problem that again is this Ryan Poles or is this you guys? Because it's like you guys are again trying to do both. And you know what the key problem in this to a certain degree is? You don't get successful general managers or team presidents to leave their organizations and come to your organization. All right. So you're already going to get someone who hasn't had that job. But are you looking for someone that you can kind of use a piece of clay and mold into something in a way? You know what I'm saying? Instead of finding someone that you think is a true up and rising person, and they may need a little tad of assistance, but really it's because of what you think is in them that they can flourish and take your organization to another level. And that's my only problem as far as it's like, oh, so you guys again are trying to construct the coaching staff and choose the GM instead of letting the GM really be in control of that. Again, to what Phil said earlier, now I don't know if this is Ryan Poles is a decision or if this is what he likes or if he has an influence in this, right? But still, to a degree, it'd be kind of me being like just kind of silly to think it's all on him and it's not the Bears organization also pulling and tugging to a certain degree.
Well, I think Tareen Whitfield is saying what you're saying. Like, do you think Ryan Poles rolled into Chicago was like Jim Caldwell? Got to get him. Because Jim was out of the league and he had the health scare with Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores scares the McCaskies. I'm telling you. And if that guy doesn't get an interview,
there's a lot of people for me, and I'm on the outside looking in. I don't know what happened down there in Miami, but to me it sounds like let's give him a chance, right? To be honest with you, because that's dysfunctional, but if the problem is if you are the reason for the dysfunction. So I think especially just here and everything we hear in the city about Brian Flores, that because we weren't in Miami, because if we were in Miami, we would have heard these little stuff would have dripped out to us somewhat, right? But I think the McCaskies have to hear what the people are saying about Brian Flores. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I was there. That was my first guy, to be honest.
That was
my first.
Harbaugh Flores to me.
He seems like a guy that his next job is going to be his best job as far as what he'll do with it if he has the proper talent around him. But again, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe
but Kenneth, could it be that weird rich white guy was so uncomfortable because Brian pushed back and he's a millionaire? How are you talking? I want Herbert. I don't want Tua. No, we got to get Tua. That caused a huge rift.
Of course.
Think about it now. It's not past. Flores wanted Herbert.
And he
The
was
owner
right.
wanted Tua.
And guess what? He was right too.
He was right. So guess what? Guess who's uncomfortable? The GM. The GM's uncomfortable.
And guess who would tell the quarterback who's not probably getting along with the coach, and the coach is hard on him? Well, he didn't want your ass anyway. So that's going to cause, because they're going to go back and tell you when someone didn't want you. Oh, don't listen to him. He didn't even want you. So now you're starting all this stuff. This dysfunction.
We're seeing. I know Brian Flores comes from the Patriot program. He started as a scout. Then he worked his way up. And I watched, and my father, you could talk about this, Dad, too. You watch the Miami Dolphins play on the field, and they are well coached. Like I was saying to Shane, when was the last time we watched a Bears game and you were like, wow, this football team's well coached? I cannot till Ditka. That's the last time. That's the last time. Even with Lovey, I'm like,
what Dickie years are we talking about? Just to
I'm
be-
talking about 87.
Yeah, okay, you 87 and back? About 87 and back.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I can work.
Well, even in 1990, I mean, he got them to he won the division again. This guy, anyway.
I got to see what that division was in 1990 because Favre wasn't even there yet because that's got to be a year. That's like a year or two before Favre.
No, 92. They fired Ditka, and that was the year that Favre got traded to.
So the Green Bay is Jack. Green Bay was nothing in the 80s. Detroit's Detroit. And what was Minnesota doing? I'm just saying the division wasn't anything at that point. Is the point that I'm trying to
They were saving money to pay Kirk Cousins in about 25 years. That's what they were doing.
But listen, I'm looking at the tape of what they did philosophically, how they tackled, how they blocked. Those things matter. They started to not matter. We saw a glimmer of it with Lovey. And we had Olin on here, and he imitated Lovey perfectly. Like, he just kept preaching the same thing. Gotta hustle to the football, guys. Gotta turn over the football. Gotta make turnover. He kept preaching it, and they did it. They did it. And, we saw success in that, but he wasn't enough. He didn't have the connections to the offensive side of the football. He didn't do that. So, for me, when I watch Brian Flores, to the point, I've never seen such unique, aggressive defensive philosophies play out in the NFL like they do with the Dolphins. He swept the Patriots. He was on a winning streak. The owner and could be the McCaskies. They ruffled feathers. Let's put out rumors. Let's rate narrative. And unfortunately, with the Good Old Boys Network, that kind of blackballs you from getting other jobs. I don't know how this guy isn't in here for a second interview. That is my biggest gripe.
You know what? Maybe let's look at Bill Polian on that.
I agree.
That's probably the place that you should look at. That's their insider. And I'm sure if Bill Polian was high, getting back to the point that I believe Shayne was making earlier as far as bringing in Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles, I would think, has to be their first candidate. Or why did you hire Bill Polian? That's what I'm hearing on the radio here, right? What was the point? Like, you brought in Bill Polian to get your fourth choice, your third choice. Like, you would think if you're going to bring in Bill Polian, he's going to go and get that well that you've been seeking. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So if and I'm with you. To me, I hear all that about Brian Flores, and my first thought is, what? Just like I asked you all about Eric Bieniemy, my first thought about Brian Flores is, what did he do off the field? And if you tell me he didn't do anything off the field, then to a certain degree, shut the F up talking to me, because it's football and it's business. All right, like all this kumbaya and all that. I know we need a taskmaster is what we need. All right. Someone that's going to hold feet to the fire and not diddle around 24/7. And when things are falling apart, picks it back up and gets it going. That's what the hell we need. I don't need someone that makes everybody warm and fuzzy feeling inside. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So for me, because I'm a fan, I'm on the outside. It doesn't. Now, if the players are sitting there and they're like, I don't like them, either play for him or get your ass out. All right, but if he's succeeding, he's the guy. Like, when he fails, come and talk all that crap. But if he's a jerk and is getting it done, I'm fine. Just look at Belichick. I want it. Bring it here to me. All right, I like it. All right, I'm not worried about us being friends. If he's not,
he's so great. The locker room loves him. Kenneth.
He's not a criminal. I don't really care then. All right, like, that's really the gist with me. It doesn't bother, especially if I don't have to work with them. Right. I don't really care. Like, come on now, man. Let's get y'all want to win. Y'all want to win Super Bowls, or y'all want to sit there and have lunch? Because I can have someone work for me, right? That's kicking ass, right? Kicking ass, but is a person that's this awkward. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't have a real close connection to them, but they come and bring their ass to work and they do their job well. So we're good to go as far as what I'm concerned. I don't need you to necessarily, as long as we pay each other proper respect, I don't need to be your best friend. I mean, we're grown-ups here in this situation. So to me, with the Brian Flores situation, now again, this is the thing. There is a part and I'll say this, if you're just setting fires for no reason, you know what I'm saying? Like if Brian Flores is just a pyro kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, calm down, Brian. You don't have to just burn everything down. If you're just setting fire, then that part I agree with. Let's not bring him in. But if you're telling me he rubbed, like what success has Miami had since Dan Marino was down there? And I know this isn't Wayne Huizenga, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, who are they? You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you to sit there and tell me or tell Brian Flores that you know what the hell y'all are doing? Because you haven't done anything well for an extremely long time with this organization. So that's my view from the outside looking at that with Brian Flores, but I'm not there. So I could be wrong, but to me, he would be on my docket for a coach if the only problem he has is he shoots straight and some people don't like to hear it.
I always say this, and I learned it from this guy. You're not there to be friends. You're there to teach, to hold accountable, to tough love them to someday they turn around and say, I fucking hated Coach Phil. I fucking hated him. But you know what? I'm a better dad.
Right.
I'm a better man. I'm a better husband. I'm a better teacher, coach. I'm successful because he held my feet to the fucking fire. He said, you're going to play left tackle. I'm a right tackle. I'm more comfortable. No, you're playing the fucking left tackle. You got enough talent. I believe it. You're going to teach. You're going to go over it. You're going to do it, and you're going to do it right. And he made me a better player. Lawrence Taylor, to this day, as much as he's fucked up on blow and whatever he's done, was the best pass rusher you'd ever seen. He probably wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for Coach Parcells. He says it himself.
I thought you were going to say he wasn't going to be alive if it wasn't for the blow. I thought that's where you were
No,
I wasn't probably wouldn't be alive without the Colombian marching powder.
Dad, you're hearing Kenneth talk. Is he speaking the language that you are agreeing with?
Yeah, of course. He's. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because I had a thing up here said my mic is
kept muting you because you got that
static.
old man breathing.
I'm used to muting Ottochians. I didn't mean to mute you. I was aiming for the other one.
Kenny's right. He's got the right idea. He wants to know. He's an investigator, and he wants to know. And the Bears fans deserve that to know. Believe me, you've suffered enough, for crying out loud. I mean, look at the Giants. Look at the Jets. They are right. The fans are right. They got to know. Put it up there. Let everybody know what's going on. That's what I say.
Yeah, you got to know. And I don't understand how we don't see Flores in the final. But I think KD is right. I think Bill Polian, something about Flores that is that maniacal energy that's going to push back.
I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick.
Go ahead.
Since George McCaskey likes to cite Bill Polian's book, let's also think about the legacy that was omitted, of the championship legacy that he didn't want to bring in, the most recent and the biggest championship legacy probably since before there were Super Bowls in the New England Patriots. And getting back to where Brian Flores comes from, the New England Patriots. I'm just throwing that out there too, as far as a reason perhaps Bill Polian isn't high on the hog when it comes to a Brian Flores.
Brian Daboll, guys. Shane, you have been the biggest voice in saying, stay the fuck away from Brian Daboll. Why?
I just don't believe an OC. Hey, you go back to Dan Quinn. Can they learn from their mistakes? And coach brought it up, 28-3 at halftime. And you can learn, you can grow from that. And that is vitally important. But Daboll, 2010, fired as an OC. 2011, fired as an OC. 2012, fired as an OC. Three different places. Bounced around. He was obviously in New England. Kenneth, he went to Bama and won a national title. I know some people around the
I mean,
way.
he's ready to win now, though. If he went to Bama and won a national title, just to be honest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But there wasn't a lot of people that were upset that he was going to Buffalo. I'll put it that way. And yes, there's a lot of you have to give him credit because he helped Josh Allen. Josh Allen was infinitely talented in the first place, and that you got to give Jordan Palmer credit there. You got to give Ken Dorsey credit. But Cars, I'm going to switch this over to you when we're talking about Dayball because you've broke a lot of this down in terms of, I mean, if you want to see somebody get fired up, because Phil gets fired up, especially when the Bears aren't running the football when they should be, especially in situational football. Speak on Brian Dayball's history with that.
He's terrible at committing to the run. And everybody keeps looking back at this last game stretch of how good he was. It's basically 50% of the yards and the carries are Josh Allen.
Exactly.
Like that, and that's not repeatable. Look, I love Justin Fields, and he is a mobile quarterback, but he's not taking the hits that Josh Allen's hitting. He's not taking a power. He's not
throwing people off of his legs. It's like Josh Allen's doing. People
he's the power. He's the power runner, and so Dayball is look at everybody wants to talk about different games. Look at that game against Tampa. Where he didn't be the running back.
He's very naggyish. He's very naggyish.
He is fat Nagy.
Like if anybody doesn't know that, and I've said that a lot. I'm sorry, Cars, but like they didn't commit to the run till like 6 weeks ago, basically. I mean,
after that Tampa game, right? Like, and didn't run the ball the first half, period, unless it was Josh Allen.
Totally, I agree. And think about now, he'd be the head guy in charge because you have to think. The head coach is gonna be like, you know what? You need to run that damn ball, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so being the head man, even though I'll say this, I'm not a hard pass on Brian Daboll. All right, I'm not a hard pass on Brian Daboll. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you and say that. You know what I'm saying? Because he intrigues me to say the least. He definitely intrigues me.
I'm a hard pass on him, the man. Him.
Y'all got information on him too?
Well,
no.
All right, just put it in the private chat. What you got over?
No, I don't have any dirt on him.
TTNL, where we're detectives.
Oh, yeah.
I have a hard pass on him being the leader of accountability. Flores, we just went on a 20-minute rant about accountability and having a tone that's set. Dayball seems to be a guy that focuses on plays.
Well, and
Fat Nagy, as they were saying in the chat. I love that.
You should listen to Hogan Johns. They had one of the Buffalo beat writers on, and he alluded to just that. Like when they were asked to talk about Dayball and Leslie Frazier, he was glowing about Leslie being a leader and a natural person. When he went to Dayball, he was kind of like, we don't know. We're not sure.
He FaceTimes he FaceTimes his players all hours of the night. That was what he said.
And McDermott, they flat out said McDermott takes his barbs at him about the run game in public. He says it in private, and that's what gets those things going. Yeah. We've seen that story play out before.
Hard pass from me. Anytime I hear anybody kind of losing sight of how important the run is, they don't belong. I'm just serious. It's so fucking important in the NFL. You just look at it. Green Bay, they would have won the game had they continued to hand off to Jones. I'm 100% sure of it. I'm 100%. They got so
Buffalo would have won if they had committed more to the run game as well. I mean, they ran 4 times after half with Singletary in a close game. Like it was obnoxious. It was obnoxious.
So Dayball, Dad, do you have any thoughts about Brian Dayball, the Buffalo Bills offense?
I really don't know about him. I'm looking at that game and I'm saying 5 years from now, that kid quarterback's going to be a cripple. He'll never be able to do that. I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah. He will not make it. As a matter of fact, next year, everybody's defense is going to be worked up about taking care of this guy. And he's going to get some shots. And all he's got to do is get a bruise in his thigh, and he's done for the year. Let me tell you something. Done for the year.
It's
so I'm going to tell you.
You're right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, if someone comes in with intent, and we've seen it before, and it's
Cam Newton.
The guy that Cam Newton.
You gotta go low in the first, like when, especially when I love hearing them say like you gotta go high. Have you been out there? Like, who are you? Like, do you see him? The only thing I got is going. Like, have you ever been out? When they hear them talk, like I'm gonna grab this 6'5" dude up top so he can fling my ass to the side.
Oh no,
he's just running past.
He's got an Achilles heel type thing right here. If you tackle him right here.
And I'm happy you said that, Coach, because watching that game, my first reaction is, well, I think in the next 2 or 3 years, this kid's gonna blow his ACL or something bad's gonna happen. Because what can you do? You have to go for it. It's a tight end, basically. What do you do in a tight end like that? If you're a DP or wherever, you're going low. So, like, I was thinking the same thing watching it, even though, man, that kid.
He covers so many warts of warts.
This is important though. Here,
think about one point. Why I don't want Dable is one play. One play told me it's Matt Nagy. It's 3rd and 4. You're down and you're driving. You know what he ran? QB power. QB power. You've run that 5 times before. You ran it again. They fucking light you up. It's now, this game's on the line. It's 4th down. What does he do? Fucking dime balls the fucking football to the Davis for a touchdown. That's 4th down, baby. This quarterback covers a lot of Dayball's shitty warts. I'm just letting you know.
The only reason I want Dayball is because I want to watch you after a 4th down ball. Some of the worst.
I can't do it again, guys.
I would love it.
I'm
not
Leslie
sure if
Frazier and him. I was right after the game. Leslie Frazier and Dayball. I just was like, please, I will quit being a Bears fan if either of those guys are coach. I can't do it no more. I can't be conservative and I can't be stupid. I can't lose sight of maniacal situational football. Matt Nagy lost me his first year. It's 4th and 1 at Green Bay. You go out and say, I need a fucking measurement because it was so close. Now you're thinking about going for it. Nope. Matt kicks the field goal. Aaron gets the ball, drives down. They win. It's the same shit. Put the game away with Jordan Howard. No. Can't even fucking run David Montgomery in year 4 on 4th and 1. He does it one time. They get it.
But where else are you going to get your halfback jump passes, Phil?
Oh, my God. Byron Leftwich, guys. Byron Leftwich intrigues me because he's the quarterback, because he's worked his way. There's a moment in the Tampa game, they're fucking coming back, and there's a look on Byron's face that he's fucking pissed off. He's yelling in the mic. He's involved. I know Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, or arguably, because Kenneth will yell something at me.
No, wait. At this time,
Eric Kramer's like, Phil, no, Joe Montana is.
There is a baby goat that resides in Kansas City, but he's the baby goat. But Tom Brady's the goat. I can't argue that. I wish I could. He's the goat.
Does he call plays? I know, let me say this. He's a leader of men. He has played the quarterback position. He's learning under one of the best coaches, in my opinion.
Arians lets his coaches coach.
Yes.
So that's number one.
That was my point. I was going to tell
the biggest flaw, and I think Cars knows where I'm going with this. He very well could be here and be a head coach and be good at what he does, but there's a lot of smoke out there that he's having issues with getting a staff together.
Because he's only got Tampa. He's only got 2 years at Tampa and 1 year at Arizona. Like, he hasn't. The problem with some of these young guys is if you don't have a lot of exposure to the other coaches, like, okay, Byron, who's your DC? Somebody said it's supposedly Larry Foote, the linebackers coach, and a few others. Yeah. And I don't
former Lion.
Yeah. So if we talked about Dan Quinn, right? Like everybody keeps saying what a great staff he supposedly has. From everything we're hearing with Byron, is he's like, he's going to have to go to bulk to help him fill out that coaching staff if they hire him. And that's just a recipe.
And that should scare the shit out of anybody.
And he's a first-time head coach on top of that.
But yeah,
and they did change that offense last year. They Braderized that offense last year. I'm just saying. You say what?
He's got the scheme you want. You're right. They changed it, but he does push it. But
I just listen. I love Byron Leftwich since Marshall. I said it anytime you hear me. I still see those offensive linemen carrying him up the field.
Absolutely.
Like I think he was never a supreme athlete, but I still think his NFL career would have been better if he wasn't out there at that time when he was hurt playing in college. But he's too new. I can't do it. And this is I'm gonna tell you the real problem.
I got you.
It's really because of this organization. This organization makes me close doors because it's like I have to insulate myself from them. So the person you bring in, I can't have as many questions for them because these fools don't know what the hell they're doing. So someone like a Byron Leftwich, who in my heart of hearts, it'd be like, yeah, I'd like to see that brother get an opportunity. Like you said, Phil's a quarterback. Regardless, he's down there. They won a championship, but I can't even with my Bears. The crazy thing, if it wasn't my team, I'd be for it. But with my Bears, oh man, we can't. I can't do it.
That's why we do this exercise here. I know you guys in the chat are throwing a lot of questions and
real
stuff.
Quick, Phil, I want to just back up a little bit because Kenneth asked this earlier. And I'll give you a name. You had asked about who's going to be coming in as OC with Dan Quinn. Cars, you and I had talked a little bit about this, maybe a potential situation with a guy that's actually playing this weekend in that NFC Championship game. You have Kyle Shanahan as head coach. Well, his OC is Mike McDaniel. They were both on the staff under Dan Quinn in Atlanta.
I'm with that. My guys on the text thread, look, we've been talking.
You can't take the lateral move, but this is the thing. I don't know.
He could be the assistant head coach.
If you make the assistant head coach, that's the move.
He's a weird dude, though.
That's
but
why. Listen, I'm with you, Phil.
You'll fit right in with
on your show every week.
But the thing is, I wasn't with when we were on the text thread. The guys, Tony was joking about, for instance, using him as the head coach, and I'm like, don't bring Mark Trestman. I was like, don't give me Pete Davidson. Don't bring Pete Davidson over here. Was the joke or whatever. But for real, if you want to bring him as the OC, I would listen. I would be interested. But again, we're talking. It's the same situations to a certain degree with Byron Leftwich. I love Kyle Shanahan, and Phil, it goes back to what you said. And I told you that Kyle Shanahan makes running sexy. A lot of people don't believe you can be crafty, you can be intelligent running the football. Kyle Shanahan shows you the intelligence. Like, I'm gonna show you different ways to run this and how to get to it. Just look at how like they're using Debo Samuel. You know what I'm saying? Just like it doesn't matter. It's like his father. You can throw me in that backfield. I'm going to get 50 yards that day. All right, just hit the damn hole properly. I'm going to get it. So like that's again will be my issue with him. I don't know where Kyle Shanahan ends and where he begins.
I love that point. I just love the offense. Alex Acevedo said this is saying the same thing. Kyle Shanahan understands how to block zone, how to counter and incorporate power run schemes within it. I think so many of these blog boys focus in on passing game and this, but the run game is the root of the tree, the offensive tree. If you don't have it, and right now, Dad, do we not have an elite running back? Have we watched enough tape of David Montgomery? And Kenneth, I thank you so much because you always shout me out because I stuck my neck out.
You first guy that told me that he was like, you didn't say he was good. You said he was elite, basically.
Exactly.
He's just not even a question. Not even a question. He's elite. He's a. I mean, I can't even really come up the top 5 runners because they're all injured half of the time during the season or whatever. But he's been in there the last couple of years to me, in my opinion.
He's just a magician.
He's a magician.
With what
he's a magician, but he's got the heart of a lion. He doesn't stop. You don't teach that. He doesn't stop. He finds a way to keep moving to get to the yardage that he needs. It's unbelievable. I watch this guy.
Even when it's not blocked correctly, he is able to supersede. He's like the fucking Matrix here. He's like finding a way to get out of this trouble. And
who's somebody said he's not elite. Who's the 5 guys ahead of him right now in the NFL? I need to know that. Who's the 5 guys?
Enough said. Enough said.
Who's the 5 guys? Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Give me the other guys, because to be honest with you, right now I'm taking him over Zeke. All right,
wow, without a doubt.
Nick Chubb. I'll give you Nick Chubb.
Matt Nagy just texted me and said Damian Williams.
I'm just saying, maybe I'm missing out, but I get those. I'll clearly take those 3 over him. But now we're getting to an area where if you tell me David Montgomery has a great offense and a great line and someone who's going to use him properly and use him in the pass game like they told us they were going to do, I get it. Initially, you didn't think so. This kid is elite. This kid.
Give me some fucking names.
Give him some fucking names. Exactly. He is elite. He is. Listen, all of Cook, all of them can't hold a candle when you look at the tape. To Kenneth's point,
I'll give it Alvin. I'll give you Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara to me is elite.
I'm gonna take Alvin Kamara. Joe Mixon. I could get Joe Mixon. I'm like this with Joe Mixon though. I think David Montgomery's there with Joe Mixon. I don't think
absolutely.
And also Joe Mixon now with Joe Burrow. They're not putting 8 in the box on his ass. All right,
exactly.
So it's not the same. You know,
you're not dealing with a philosophy.
Yeah,
of somebody who's saying we're gonna run this football. We're looking at it as exactly, Cal. Let's put Cordarrelle in. Let's put Tariq in. This kid runs for 80 yards on the first play for a touchdown. Has 11 carries in that game. It's ridiculous how misused rhythmically. You have to understand that the running back is when he was under Nagy. Let's see what he does. Mike Daniel comes with Coach Quinn, and they put in this Mike Shanahan philosophy of offense. Jackle's going to be picking David Montgomery in his fantasy fucking draft. I'll tell you that, because the stats are going to incorporate themselves with the tape. That's just simple. It's the root of football. A lot of these, and it's no offense to them. It's why we have almost 700 patrons, because you look at the tape, you see what is exactly going on. That's why my dad and I are sitting there like, come on, Dalvin Cook, great.
I'm gonna take Dalvin Cook over him.
I will not take Dalvin Cook over.
I'm gonna take Dalvin, because if y'all tell you this, if he was just a speed guy, Dalvin Cook is a tough SOB. And if he only problem, I'll say this with Dalvin Cook, and it didn't hurt him as much this year. He tries to stay on the field. He's injury prone, but he tries to get out there. That'd be the only reason that I would perhaps favor Montgomery. But if we're talking about all around, I'm gonna go with Dalvin Cook. I'm just going to be honest. But I think
I'm
so.
Being honest
that was
too.
No, I'm saying for me. I'm not saying I'm just saying my honesty. If I said that, give me 5, I think that they've given me about 5. So I'm being honest with that. I think it's about 5. But if you're telling me David Montgomery's number 6, I still view him as being elite. And I do believe now I'm at number 6. That's all I'm giving you, Memphis. I'm at about number 6 with it. All right.
We got into the David Montgomery. I love David Montgomery talk. Who's next? Nathaniel Hackett. No, Cars, nobody.
That's the guy you go get if you want Aaron Rodgers to be your quarterback next year. That's basically where that stops and ends with me. He's never called plays. He's never done this. He's got limited exposure, right? Like, I know he's done very well in college, but it's kind of like hiring the old New England guys as your head coach, right? Because they did so well with some no-name quarterback named Tom Brady. It just doesn't. That success doesn't translate.
I'm intrigued by the man. I love what he did at Syracuse, and his father, Paul Hackett. He comes from a good football family, but again, when you're dealing with Aaron Rodgers, That's
LaFleur.
another guy that covers a
I
lot
don't know
of
what you
woods.
do. I don't know
Yeah,
what he does.
Exactly. And the head coach,
Well,
does he call the plays?
Even saying, and this is going off on a complete different tangent, but you brought up, like Cars brought up Denver.
Yeah.
And if you're Aaron, do you really want to go to the AFC West in Denver?
Why not?
Because
They
you
have
got
a
Justin
bunch of
Herbert.
fucking talent on that team.
Yeah, but you got Justin Herbert and Baby Go already in that division.
Right.
All right.
Oh, that's
And,
true.
like that's
Right.
you.
Is he a
yeah,
competitor? I
I
see him with the Steelers or Giants, to be perfectly honest.
But he's got the best wide receiver core outside of Kansas City there. Like,
Yeah,
if-
Denver has an amazing
it's a big
route.
one.
And their
Loaded.
tight ends.
And
They got
loaded.
two.
Yes, absolutely. And a great run game.
Fant and what's the other kid from Missouri?
Yeah, Alfred
Yeah.
O. Or
Alfred O. We'll
Albert.
just call him that.
Albert, sorry.
He's a good football player there.
Yeah. Well, Jackal put this there in the chat. Well, let me just add him real quick. Jackal.
There he is.
Hello.
Talk about Rodgers real quick and the connection with Pittsburgh and his little subtle tricks that he's been playing on the McAfee show with that.
Dude, fucking guy all season long been rocking like purple or black and gold t-shirt. Shout out to Philly or Pittsburgh type of gear. McAfee from the area, they look at it as a tribute to him, but at the same time, there's been some smoke with some of the guys. One of the dudes a Steelers fan, and he's like, it makes sense for Rodgers to come in right when Big Ben leaves. They have some moves, they have receivers, but and he loves Tomlin. He's a huge Tomlin fan, so there's a big mutual respect there. But again, fuck Rodgers. Who cares where he really goes? But at the end of the day, he could be out. He could be in Pittsburgh, but Denver's another spot. If Hackett goes out there, would you want to play with Hackett over there?
We asked about Pittsburgh. Fuck out of here, Jackal. All right.
Jackal don't do shit. Claudio don't do shit.
These guys will tell you the best abilities is availability.
They're saying that Dan Quinn is still in Chicago.
So
yes.
It's who's the OC? Dan, can you tell me who the OC is? That's what, and who's the special team coordinator? I don't care who the defensive coordinator is.
I want to know who the offensive line coach is.
That's a good one.
That's the most important to me after the head coach. I like Dan Quinn, Hofstra. You have me at Hofstra.
He's out then. He's out.
Hofstra guy, VMI, worked his way up, obviously, all the way up to the point where you made, where the George and Ted gave Ryan Pace a vasectomy and weren't allowing him to make the move of hiring Dan Quinn over John Fox. We could have been to the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn could have said, "Are you fucking kidding? It's Deshaun Watson and no one else, or it's Patrick Mahomes, not Mitch Trubisky. Are you fucking kidding me?" He would have been involved in that stuff. So it's crazy. And Shayne always does this to me, Kenneth, and Cars sometimes, but more so Shayne, probably getting it from Cars, who shares it then to me. Look at the staff that Bruce Arians was going to bring here back then. Look at this guy who was going to be hired here, but we ended up choosing Dave Wanstead or whoever it was. And I always like, fuck me.
It was Tressman.
Yeah. No, the one before Lovey, there was another. It was always
I thought you meant as far as when Arians was interviewed by Phil Emery.
No, yeah, I'm saying those years, Shayne or Cars find out the guy that was the second finalist.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And here's
so
their
who was the second finalist for Wani? Let's go back to that. Who was the second finalist for Wani?
Oh, it was way back.
Oh Jesus! I think it was Wani by. I think he was the first, second, and third.
Wani was a hot name.
Yeah,
him and Nor were the two hottest names,
right?
Out of everybody. I mean, we had to outbid the Giants.
Yeah,
Giants.
Right?
Yep.
Like that was
Wanstead. But I'm just saying they always go. So now I believe in Dan Quinn, the man. I don't put anything on my name that I don't believe in. This isn't smoke. I prefer Harbaugh, Flores. I have other people. I would have hoped Raheem Morris, another Hofstra kid, would get an interview here. He hasn't. The kid I really think is so underrated, he's going to be an amazing head coach, is the New York Giants defensive coordinator who's getting, I think he got an interview with the Giants, but is also Mike Tomlin wants to hire him as their new defensive coordinator. That's Graham, former Yale kid, worked his way up with the Patriots. Really smart defensive mind. I would have been interested in seeing the Chicago Bears interview that guy. There's something to be said. I think he's the next thing. We just record this. Next year, Graham will be the guy. But that being said, Flores, to me, I'm going to be a little disappointed. Thank you, Patrick Graham. And listen, it's not East Coast bias, but East Coast football has shown you coaches come out of here. In Connecticut alone, you got Belichick, Wesleyan. We could go on. All the Southern Connecticut, Kevin Gilbride. Who else, Dad? George DeLeon, Paul Pasqualoni. All of these coaches that have gone on into the NFL from Brooklyn, New York, and the East Coast. Joe Paterno. Fucking Vince Lombardi. Vince fucking Lombardi, from Brooklyn.
Listen, I was a Joe Pod.
Ryan Flores.
You can't slip Joe Pod. You can't slip Joe Pod to this.
Joe Paterno was a great coach. Al Davis, just win, baby.
He was great letting those kids.
Imagine if Ted Phillips came out and said, "Just win, baby. Just win."
They would laugh at him. They would laugh at his face.
Yeah,
He's fucking worried about his lunch. That's.
Hey, I wanted to interject a little bit about Montgomery before you, Kenny. If he made as many carries as those other backs, how good would he be? I mean, he ran the ball. He ran a 15-yard play, and he's out. And I'm saying, what are you taking him out for? You're putting this other second-grade kid in there? Oh, my God. I can see if he just ran 14 plays and you took him out.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think if he had a coach that used him and an offensive line that worked properly, that the argument, I think we could still argue that these different guys have these traits and stuff like that. But I don't think you could say he was top three. When I say top three, there still could be an argument with it because some of these guys just have some natural abilities that he doesn't have. Even though his speed did increase this year, like he said, you could tell he had a slightly extra gear this year. But I think if they used him, he would be higher. I mean, if I think he's 5 or 6 and he's been misused, imagine what I think he would be if he was the focal point of the offense. And the worst part is you were supposed to, and I hate that the NFL is built like this, you're supposed to run the tread off his ass. That's how the league is built. Like, you're supposed to take these running backs and in that first contract, unfortunately, burn their asses up. And they haven't used, they've only started using him a year and a half, and they still don't even do it properly all the way.
It is a shame. And you know what? I'll say this on top of that, Dad. This kid catches the goddamn football. I mean, he could run routes and cars. You and I have talked about it. You could put this guy out there. You can have 2 backs in the backfield, motion him out to the freaking wide out, and he can run slants all day and make plays. And it's enough said. A block enough said.
Yeah, you have to have good coaching. That's all.
Exactly.
I don't know what that's on the offensive side here ever. Get somebody's ass today. It's what you got to do. It's what you got to do.
I love it. I love it. All right. Is there any other coaches you want to talk about before we turn the page on this?
I think it's, like I said, I'm not trying to steer it in a particular direction, but I think if you look at the bottom of that list right there, at this point, I think
it's a wrap.
All hands on deck. I mean, there's so much smoke out there that's surrounding Dan Quinn, and if he's selling them on the OC and the O-line coach, yeah, Don't forget. I'm going to throw this out there. I'm just going to throw this out there too. Sorry, Cars. Is Justin Fields is in Chicago tonight too. He was at the Bulls game. Bulls game wrapped up a little while ago.
Little meetup at Gibson's tonight,
Well, I'm
Kenneth.
just saying, because I think that's a
Chicago cut probably. Chicago
Chicago
cut.
cut.
Yes, the Gibson is more like if you the tourists get down.
Okay,
get down.
Chicago
But
cut.
if you're gonna and now if you wrap these up and Dan Quinn is your guy, before if I'm Ryan Poles, I'm 100% having Justin Fields come over and talk to this guy. It's not gonna, dictate if I'm hiring or not gonna hire the guy if I've made up my mind. But I think it's an important thing for this franchise to have your future sit down with Dan Quinn for a meal, like you said, Chicago cut, wherever they go, and talk things out just a little bit, because you can say whatever you want, and I know everybody loves defense in Chicago. Times are changing, friends.
Right.
Well, I want to say this. I think way more important, head coach. I don't give a fuck. He should know offense. Dan Quinn has a lot of connections in the NFL. And I think we have to trust. And it's Kenneth's point. We want to see what the name is, but ultimately you got to put faith that you're getting the right leader of men. Then everything else will fall into place the right way. We've won with fucking Ron Turner calling plays, with Gary Croton calling plays. We've won. We've never gone over the hilltop because we haven't had the right coaches in place to do it. Now, I have to have faith. Listen, this guy is coached on the college level in the NFL. He turned around the Dallas Cowboys. How he sees this offensive building around this young quarterback is going to be important. We had a guy that didn't even have the comprehensive skills to say, we just got lucky enough to get this talent from Ohio State because they leaked this epilepsy thing prior to the draft. We are in great shape. Nope. We're going to put Andy Dalton as our starter. He didn't even take the appropriate measures as a leader of men to say, we are going to make a quarterback competition. So you better get your ass in the playbook and learn as much as you can. When we get to spring, you are going to be out there with the ones pushing this team to the next level. That's what a real coach does. Justin was neglected. He was abused. He was manipulated, and he completely was thrown in a position of neglect. And we all saw it and witnessed it. And that's why these fucking guys are gone, and I'm happy about it. I think Dan Quinn is going to do just fine with his staff. I think we'll all be happy with the staff that he puts together. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to go on that faith that that's the guy. You do not go wrong with that kind of human being. I know Dan Quinn's. I talked to one of his former players, one of my teammates who was coached by Coach Quinn at Hofstra. He said, Phil, the most dynamic communicator, motivator. He's a Dallas Cowboy fan, this kid. He's like, I got no horse in the race, but I'll tell you right now, Coach Quinn will fucking make people run through walls for him. And everybody who seems to talk about the guy, that's what I want. That's what I hope we get, that kind of football player. And to my dad's point, he took a fucking defense that was horrible and completely turned it around in Dallas. So, and he won. He was up 28-3. Imagine living with that letdown.
Breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
The Bears haven't named a head coach, but Kenneth Davis has to go.
Oh man, I was dude.
See?
Dude, that was a good one. That was a good one. Like, damn,
Getting somebody's ass today.
Oh man, listen, I appreciate it. Always have fun time with you guys.
Oh my God, you're talking about you coming on here.
The only way I can shut him up, Kenneth. I gotta do the breaking news drop.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Kenneth.
No, it's no problem. Man. It's no problem. I love spending time over here. So when time flies, when time flies with people you enjoy being around, that's a positive thing. Even though get off of Soup Campbell. But
I like Soup, but it sounds
Coach,
so great.
You're the only grown man, just so you know, you're the only grown man, and I let call me Kenny. But since you my sir, we're gonna let that ride. All right, we're gonna let that ride. But look, real quick, I'm sure
it's Ken
tomorrow,
Davis, Dad.
No, it's real quick, because I don't know if anybody knows the story behind how that happened.
No,
Something
I don't
happened.
know.
Okay, so on Under Center, Wani called me that, then Cap called me that, right? And when Wani first did it, I was like, oh, Lord, no. And then Cap did it, I was like, you know what? Hold on real quick. We're not going to call me Kenny. But it wasn't, and I honestly want to have a side talk with them. It has nothing to do with them. It has to do with, one, my family members growing up, they would call me that, and I hated it. But I also had a kid in my class. His mother was a substitute teacher. He was Kenny, I was Kenneth. But I always hated that. But my younger brother who died in 2020, he's the reason that it became okay with people calling me, because that's what he used to call me, and I raised him. So that's even more the reason why. And it's not, I don't want people on the streets calling me that. So like here, and like even with Wani and with Cap, it was nothing against them, because they're cool, but I don't want random people calling me that. So that's only the point, and that's a terrible way to get off the air right here talking about something. I apologize.
Well,
but anyway,
Coach Ottochian will never call you Kenny again.
Well, you know what? I'm from Brooklyn. Everybody's Joey, Philly.
Philly.
You know, Philly.
You mean nothing. No, wait. You mean nothing.
Kenny.
You mean nothing. Nobody means nothing bad doing it. The point that I'm trying to, no one is trying to insult me or anything like that. It's really, I don't want randoms, and you're not a random, Coach. I don't want randoms. Like the last thing I want to do is walk the streets and then it's like people gonna do this because I just said it. So, I don't want people like that's the real thing. It's like no randoms. Like no, we don't get down like that. But anyway, make sure everybody checks out Under Center, that Davis show. But I'm sure we're gonna go live streaming probably around 11 when Cap gets off the radio. If Cap's going to be on, probably Cap will be on to talk about probably Dan Quinn. Everybody on here, always appreciate the love that this community have. Everybody be safe, and I will see you guys probably next week how things are going.
We'll see you next Wednesday, Cap.
Just holler at me, guys. But everybody be safe and have a good one, man. And
just you too.
We love you, Kenneth.
Great.
From the heart. Seriously, I love this guy.
Yeah,
such a great human being, and I
can listen to you all day. You're pretty good.
Thank you, sir.
Pretty damn good.
There you go. Get that damn in there. That's most important, Dad. Come on. All right, Kenneth.
Later, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Kenneth Davis, Under Center Podcast. He's the man. Is right. Claudio the Barber.
Mr.
What up,
O.
Claudio?
How you doing?
Ready to cut it out real quick?
No, it's been cut out. Listen, I gotta just ask.
Called the Cobb.
That's the thing. Who talks more, Kenneth or Phil? That's the question of the night, right there. What is?
Oh, it's Kenneth.
Ooh. I'm not answering because I will never be allowed to speak again. So I'm not answering that question.
Did something happened?
Yeah, everything went.
I totally went error, StreamYard error.
It came up on mine too, and then it worked because Claudio's gone now. So
what did he do? What was the question?
I don't know. You were frozen when I was looking, Phil, and then
the whole thing just went.
Yeah.
StreamYard error. I don't know, but people are voting for me.
Wow. There he is.
You guys
Did you pull a Steven Johnson again?
Dude, I didn't touch shit. You bring me on and the fucking whole thing blows up.
Holy shit.
You're trying to cut it out for real, brother.
My question was who talks more, you or Kenneth? That's the question of the night.
Kenneth came in
on
a mission tonight.
Yes.
He was going.
I love Kenneth.
You guys are both great going at it.
Dude, I love Kenneth Davis, but listen, it's my show. It's me and Shayne's show. Shayne keeps
No, I
me in
think you
line.
said it right the first time. I think you said it right.
That was
the
a Freudian
first time.
slip there, I think.
Well, yeah, I'm the point guard here, and Shayne is the fucking Mark McGuire. He hits fucking home runs. That's my
You know those are
father.
two different
It's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, though.
My
It's not gonna be in the Hall
father
of Fame.
fucking said it the other day to me after the show. He's like, "That fucking Shayne is so smart, Phil. I had such a blast on that show." Right,
But-
Dad? You were like, "Wow."
Yeah.
When you dropped off the other night, Phil, your dad and I were talking, and then he shared that with me, and I'm like, "How do you think I got my nickname?"
Oh,
I thought you got your nickname because of
Yeah,
this.
it was-
I said, hey, oh, baby.
Hello. Hey, Coach.
Hi.
Shayne is.
You're on the air, baby.
Oh,
Cherie, he's in space.
He's in space. Dad, have you ever heard that song? I mean, that's
well,
our
you know what happens every time you put something else like that on. I have to hit the sound again.
I know it drives me crazy. I feel bad for you. Claudio stole your Apple laptop that I was going to give you. Like
Still has it, huh?
Yeah, Chris. He
Yeah,
won't even
so-
fucking give it up. As much money as he makes as a barber, he won't fucking. He won't give it up. He won't buy
I
his
got more
own
bills than I
computer.
make money, though, so that's the problem.
Isn't that called life?
It is.
Get in somebody's ass today. It's true.
Hey!
Very true.
Give me some fucking names. Give this kid 2 fucking games. Give me some fucking names.
We've given you a lot of names tonight. The whole cast. We had JJ Stankevitz talking about Eberflus. We had Kenneth Davis coming on. We got Cars coming in here talking shit about
Claudio.
We got my dad, Coach Ottochian, on the show on Keeping It 100. I told you there was going to be surprise guests breaking down these Chicago Bears on the best Chicago Bears show on the planet. Should I make the call?
Make
Or
the
is it
call.
too
It's
late?
but
Let's do it.
Is
Just
it
make
too
it.
late?
See what
Hold
happens.
on.
No, it's not too late.
Let me see. We're going to make a call. I'm going to
See
put it
your
on
name pop
live.
up.
I'm going to put
This
it
is
on
the-
live.
This is the real surprise guest right here for
It
everybody.
ain't fucking Greg Braggs, that's for sure.
Let's see if it works, guys.
Civius. Look at it, Cherie. You see that?
Cherie got some compliments from Claudio.
Yeah.
Matt
Before the
Nagy.
show.
Matt Nagy picks up this phone. It's gonna be crazy.
Civius looks like Tracy Morgan.
We got Nagy's phone number here. Let's see if he picks it up. Come on, pick it up.
Have a good voicemail.
Come on, pick it up.
Him and Angelina Jolie had a long night. I don't think.
Please leave your message.
What? He didn't
Puts
pick
out
up.
his whole number on the internet.
He didn't pick up. We thought he was gonna pick up, but since he didn't pick up, I'll play.
What? So this is pretty good. Did you guys
What's
see
that?
this one? Cars, they
What?
think that's you singing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to do the live version? We can
please,
remove
right
everybody
now.
from the screen, Cars.
I'm sorry, guys. I save that for the special lady in my life who feels less special every time I do it. So thank you, though.
Nagy gonna naggy. He didn't want to pick up.
What about the guy that saved it for Mike Tice down in Jacksonville at the airport, Cars?
Well, I don't want to be a home wrecker like that guy. He's obviously just likes to break up marriages.
I've learned over the years to take just about anything that Olin says with a grain of salt.
Yeah, take everything Olin says with a grain of salt. Tonight, we broke down the coaches. We talked all of them. We were hoping that there would be a coaching announcement, but if there isn't, obviously one tonight, we will be live on our patron side, Shayne, going live. Did we break the 700 mark tonight?
Let me look.
I think we were at 699 at one point.
697 according to my sources.
I got 698 right here.
Okay, let me look
I
here.
got 698.
I have 697.
Refresh.
I did.
Yeah, 698.
You know how I feel about stats. Really, stats are for losers. Final scores for winners, and that's really what it's about.
That is what it's about here on this show. Keep it at 100 every Wednesday night. We do it. We do it live, no script. I even did JJ's intro with no script. But if you become a patron, you're going to get stuff like this each and every week. Shane, we didn't do any reads tonight. We didn't do nothing.
Well, we better take care of that. Yeah,
you need to.
Shane, you get the Manscaped read while I do this.
X's with the O's. DDP, Coach O, Barelissimo, and they actually figure out the whys.
Yeah, he gets to the races because Daniels actually does a great job.
But they did all that moving around, get the quarterback right into position again. For crying out loud, he's getting fancy. I haven't said it, but Phil said it 100 times. It's all trick plays. A trick with the wrong guy. He'd been better off pulling the ball and him going up the hole.
Never go backwards to get 1 yard. Look at that formation right there. They're consistently in this kind of shit. Where, say you push Allen Robinson way outside that number, put him way out there, and then put someone way down here. All of a sudden, the box gets a little less tight.
But you can tell that the accountability when it comes, no one's calling anybody out on that defense.
Those linebackers have to maintain gap responsibility full speed.
You got to press that thing inside out. So when he oversets here and he gets outside, that step, that right foot step sets him too wide. And now you've turned that defensive end into a two-gap player who can tackle inside or outside your fuck.
Matt Nagy sold himself because he's a good talker. He is a good talker, but what you need as a head coach and a GM is someone who's going to pick the right people and put them in the right places and play to their strengths. And you've also got to be able to, and it's crucial as any leader, is to be able to accept when you make a mistake. Look, I gave him a chance. I gave him an opportunity. I put him here. I gave him this responsibility. I did the tools. I did that to help him to do it. It's clearly not working.
I've never heard someone say, I made a mistake in this hire. And I mean, regardless of if you're not a football person, you still hired someone.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Those coordinators and everybody that's coaching on its staff could be great. If you got a guy up there that's a schmuck, you're not going anywhere. And that's what's happening. And when you get a real leader, he'll hire the guys that are going to do the job.
Get a coach in here that puts a priority on accountability, game planning. I don't see any of this. If I was to assess any coach and they're in shotgun on 4th and 1, fire that coach. It's just so much that you could do from under center that you can't do in shotgun.
Plus, you're not 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. The Bears culture, for me, all the way back since I was a kid, was the toughest guys there were. These guys are pussies.
Breaking down the key plays, big moments, and take a deeply detailed look back at each week's big play performers.
Oh my God, Mickey Mouse!
Exclusively for TTNL patrons. X's with the O's.
I said, hey, oh, baby, oh, bring that fat ass over here. I want to get it in my mouth.
What is going on?
What is going on? That is the. Do you remember the Minnesota?
Oh, Mike Tice.
Come
on,
Mike Tice and TTNL patron Ryan Cox.
He was on that boat. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There was a little bit of breaking news today on that, but yeah, Ryan was there.
I don't give a fuck that he smokes weed. They all smoke weed.
Smoke weed every day.
Yes, this next segment is sponsored by BETUS. BETUS. Life is back on sports bettors and BETUS. Please, Jackle, put
I'm
that
working
graphic
on it.
up. Has your NBA, NHL, NFL, UFC, PGA, again, NFL playoff football. Was there a better weekend in playoff football than you saw last week? Did you get in on the betting scene? Betting lines are up for their 27th year in live betting on all of it. Log in to betus.com. If you're a TTNL head, you can use a special code for 125% bonus or 200% bonus. It's Shy City 125 or Shy City 200. You can make the bet on the big game. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting. Kickoff starts now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BETUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. It's betus.com. Use those codes. Help out the network and the channel. BETUS. They sponsor us. If you're a big bettor, this is a big weekend of football again. Use those codes. Thank you, BETUS. Real quick. Cherie, are you going to read the Manscaped read tonight? That's going to be the read.
I got it. But Deshaun, you head over to
I got you, Shane.
www.thetapeneverlies.com. But anyways, Coach, you're going to love this read that I'm going to do. And we'll get your take on below the waist grooming because we're going to cover
I can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but you
don't want to smell down there, Coach. You got to keep that stuff.
I have no idea what
this is what Claudio became a barber for right here. Yeah,
it's my first cut.
He had an unsightly ball throw, according to sources, when he was growing up. So, yes, roses are red and violets are blue. Don't let a wild pube wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here with the best tools to get your balls ready for the special occasion. This Valentine's Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. With our exclusive offer, go to manscaped.com and use the code SHYCitySports for 20% off and free shipping. I'd like to propose making February 13th national holiday as National Shave Your Balls Day. I don't know, how do you guys feel about that, Cherie? Are you squeaky clean or little carpet down there?
I'm squeaky
No,
clean.
for your partner.
Oh,
I'm a pretty good source.
Well, this show just.
So
we are still
anyways,
live. We know, we're still
National Shave Your Balls Day. Who's with me? I think this one holiday that men and women
Cherie's
can
a
both
client.
get behind. This package also includes the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer to whack all of your worst weeds. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts cards, their shed travel bag and anti-chafing boxer briefs to keep your boys stored comfortably. And don't forget to smell good not only around your balls, but all over. Make their signature scent, the Manscaped Refined Cologne, will complement your collection with smell perfection. Manscaped created their products for a night just like this and will make your V-Day date say, wow, that's a great set of balls you have. Go to manscaped.com for an exclusive offer of 20% off, free shipping with the code SHYCitySports. Your balls, your lady, and Cherie will thank you.
There you go. 20% off. Let me tell you, I have both the 4.0 and the 3.0.
Coach, do you need that coupon code again? It's Shy City Sports.
Shy City Sports, Dad. And they give you some shower gel and shampoo. And
this is, Ryan Cox was trying to talk to Mike Tice right there about the
He's giving him the Cobb Quickie impersonation.
Yeah.
What you should do is get Manscaped, Mike Tice.
I said, hey, oh, baby.
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby.
Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer strong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
the network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. But some this part see the show is at its end. But for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Claudio, Shayne getting nervous cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say they get the shot of vital. But hurry up cause the postman's getting homicidal.
Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holla at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too.
The network that keeps it real. Spencer Strong.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
I hope
if
there's
we
hope.
got the right people. I hope that is hope.
That's gonna be the quote, the name of this show, Shayne. I hope there's
Hope that there's hope.
I hope there's hope.
I hope that there's hope. Okay.
Hope there's hope, Dad. You got to experience the Work That Ass for Daddy song tonight.
I'm so
TTNL.
sorry.
Hey guys, I'm gonna leave you guys.
You get worked up or what? What's going on? Time to leave after hearing
Before
that.
you leave us,
huh?
Do you want to send a shout out to anybody, Dad? Do you have anyone that you want to share some love to? That's how we end the show every night.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
do you
to
have
my
you
wife,
wanna
Pat?
There you go. Shout
My
it
wife,
out.
52 years.
Look at you.
Wow.
52 pickup.
I hope I
Lil Mac is 52. There you go. 52 years. Wow. God bless you.
God bless
I
you
wanna
too.
thank you
You
for
got
coming
4 of those 11. You got 4 of those 11 grandchildren that I have. I love it.
There you go.
They're all angels, Coach.
Yeah.
Even though Devin almost came through the ceiling while we were live out here the other day.
I just want to thank you, though, Dad, for jumping on tonight. The first time you ever came on Keeping It 100. A lot of laughs, a lot of football talk, but at the end of the day, our fans, our family, and I think everybody was so excited to have you on the show tonight. So have a good night.
I had a lot of fun just listening to you guys and you girls.
There you go. I'm talking about Jackle and Cherie.
We'll see you later, guys.
Kind of like Rags.
Love you guys.
Davis, Earl.
All right, Coach.
See you, Coach O.
My dad getting to work that ass. Cars, were you getting nervous because my dad was there?
Like, you gotta understand, I can't. My mom tried to give me the birds and the bees speech at 20, and it was horribly uncomfortable. I can't. Yeah, my mom.
It was uncomfortable listening to it with Cherie the first few times. This with him.
That was uncomfortable for you.
I was good until I saw him going forward with his finger so he could listen to it, and I'm like, oh, and then he leaned back, and I'm like, oh boy.
I was laughing at Shayne laughing at it. It was funny.
I think he caught him laughing at the end, though.
Oh, he has a great sense of humor. He's fine. He's fine. It was a great night. I was so happy that he came on, and JJ and Kenneth. So, we're on the cusp.
I think that song probably got him worked up. That's why he went
maybe
to bed.
52 years.
Yeah.
52 years.
He's gonna draw up some plays upstairs, right?
Gonna work that ass for mommy.
Cherie, do you have anyone you want to shout out tonight?
Nobody nobody in particular. Well, shout out to Riley. I got the news late. Sorry, I haven't been on social media today.
I told him you hate him. That's all right. We
No,
know.
I can't believe he posted that
kidding.
too, Shane. That's crazy. He said that. I was sad to learn that Shuri hates me.
Get in somebody's ass today.
That's right.
Y'all know it's only one person I hate. He's not here.
Why don't you like Claudio?
I was gonna say we'll call him earlier next week. Don't worry.
No, I was talking about Greg.
He's talking about Brad. Come on, Claudio, catch up.
Claudio.
She doesn't like
Claudio.
Brag's worrying about Buckus punching him in the face. He should be worrying about Cherie punching him in the face, more like it. But.
Yeah, next time I gotta actually hit him. But anyway, I want to shout out you guys again. Thank you all for a fun night. It's been enjoyable watching you all with a stressful work day, but really appreciate it. I look forward to Wednesday nights. Like I said, glad about the news about Riley, and I hope all of you and your families is doing well as the TTNL family. So
well said.
No, we're very economical, my family.
Dude, Phil, you sway like a bowling pin.
Oh,
like,
the
you
lean
just
is-
kind of like, dude. It's
Every time it makes me laugh. Jackal, shout outs.
I'm gonna second Cherie's shout out first and foremost to Riley. I think that's fucking amazing. Just it's a blessing, and thank you for sharing that with us, Shane. I do appreciate that. So
Thanks, man.
big ups to him and the family, and shouting out your mom. I hope she's recovering and doing well as well, bud. And yeah, I just, I'm back at it. Just had a little thing going on myself. So I'm shouting out my wife because she's kind of had to take care of 4 kids at the house. My 7-year-old, my 4-year-old, and my just under 1-year-old, and me, because I was kind of out of commission for a little bit. So my wife was, pretty strong woman to begin with. And then she definitely had to deal with my fucking sore ass, if you will. So to that point.
Or ass.
They make an ointment for that.
I was working that ass for daddy.
Okay.
Cut that, Shane.
I'm not saying that. All right, you went. I got it. I have a picture I don't want in my head, but we're just gonna keep on getting somebody's ass.
Keep on keeping up.
Get in somebody's ass today. What the hell happened to the show? Did everybody get that error
crazy.
message?
Yeah.
I did.
But we stay recording.
It was
Yeah.
weird.
Holy.
Steven Johnson privately.
Steven Johnson came in all cloak and dagger.
Yeah, he must have done something. Or this.
The hiring of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, I don't regret that.
Fuck you,
I can't
George.
stand that.
And Ted.
Fuck out of here,
Fuck
Ted.
Ted. Fuck Ted. Fuck Ted. Anyway, great shout out. I'm glad you're healthy.
I wish, Mookie. I actually had an added dick to me. They put 3 extra inches on, so now I'm measuring in at -1. I'm a grower, not a shower. But to that point, my boy.
I have no idea what's going on, but
Touche.
really,
Touche. I deserve that, but well done.
We have a lot of fun.
Holy shit.
Obviously, the news of GM Ryan Poles. I think we're on the cusp of the coach being announced tomorrow morning, is what I'm being told. So let's keep that understood. Become a patron. It's the tapeneverlies.com. That's it. The
Hey, you got a fan there.
tapeneverlies.com.
You got a fan here, Shane.
Cars. You have a shout out.
Yeah, Eddie, welcome back. Eddie likes to put comments in there because he thinks that I'm a dickhead and get fired up. He's just mad that his mother's an ugly whore. Oh, is that
Oh,
rude?
no.
I'm sorry, Eddie.
Good night,
I
everybody.
didn't. He's not an ugly. He's not an
Prove it
ugly.
right. Go ahead.
He's not an ugly whore. She's a stupid cunt. How's
I
that?
knew it was coming.
There.
Oh, sorry,
my
Eddie.
goodness.
Go back to your
Eddie.
trailer, Eddie.
Love you,
Shitter's
Eddie.
full, dickhead.
News.
Sorry, Eddie. I'm sorry.
I have no idea what
Cars.
I'd like to thank everybody.
Was that over the line? Was that over the line, Eddie? Is that what you wanted? You got me.
I'd like to thank everybody for sticking around for this last 15 minutes. What
I'm
feels
done
like
with your mother, Eddie. What time you want the bitch back?
somehow this has devolved into some sort of softcore porn at 10:30 at night. So I apologize for that. No, I have no idea what day it is or what's going on.
It's Wednesday, almost Thursday.
No, I think really, again, I want to shout out my wife and kids who have been. It has been crazy around here, and everybody's finally healthy. So thank God for that. And that's about it.
I'm so glad everyone's healthy. Glad you came on tonight, and we're all going to be in this together. What is going to happen with the Chicago Bears coach? We lived the Matt Nagy, the Mark Trestman, the John Fox, and Dow Loggins. Should I keep going in the misery? Hopefully, they're going to get it right. They're going to get it right. Claudio.
All right, real quick.
Yes.
Few guys in the chat before the show, like we said before, 29, 30 people talking, chatting it up before the even show came on. I mean, those guys, shout out to all you. John Santino or Centeno, he was the first to, Centeno. Yeah, he was the first to comment pre-show. So I'll shout you out. The dude that came up with Fat Nagy, Dayball equals Fat Nagy, Joseph Matsuzak, and then Finn 1969. He's from Utah. First time watching the show. He said he loves it. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody here. And, that's it.
Thank you, Claudio. And thank you for the haircut today. Yeah. Claudio giving me and
welcome,
the boys who are
freshies for the birthdays.
Yeah, turning 8 years old this Friday. The twins.
Oh, wow.
I don't know who's saying what. Anyway, Mr. Shayne Marsaw.
Yeah, I shout out to all the wonderful patrons that are pumping up our numbers. I'm, of course, going to shout out Eddie's mom. She's can't imagine the smells coming out of that thing after I'm done with her. But hey, the show's over. So, but no.
I can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
all bullshit aside, I love you, Eddie. I'm sure you're a great person in real life. But I want to shout out my son, Big Day. Had his 90-day scan. Everything came back clean. We were under the assumption that everything was going to be positive because he's been thriving, but it's still, as a parent, still very, very stressful to go through. You just, never know. We didn't think that any of this was going to start in the first place. So we were very, very thankful that we got some good news today on that front. Got to see him. Big smile on his face when he got the news. And like I said, it's any day that you can see your son grinning ear to ear like that, it makes the grind and the long hours of every day with the unknowns, it makes it all worth it. So shout out to you, Riley. Love you with all of my heart. I had a little picture here to share with everybody that I shared on social media. So that's my my baby boy right there. And love you, like I said, with all my heart, and gonna party it up a little bit this weekend to celebrate with him. So
awesome,
that'll be fun.
Much deserved, man.
Much deserved. I want to shout out all the guests tonight. JJ Stankevitz returning and really just being the class act that he is. Kenneth Davis, back-to-back weeks. Kenneth jumping on, and of course, Coach Sr. And all of you guys for completely taking Wednesday nights and making it must-see TV. It's more than a podcast. That's why I say it's the best fucking Bears show on the planet. And the players have spoken. They agree. as well as you fans. I want to thank Adam Rank for having me and promoting TTNL Network and calling us the best show clearly on the planet. Brandon D, Amy Stacy, Jason McKee, big fullback, going to be coming on the show in a couple of weeks to talk about the new coaching hire. I want to shout him out. Edwin Lopez, my boy. I want to shout out, hold on, I'm getting to my notes. Dakota Harper, Tim Markovitz, Kevin Kadek, Kerry Fajes. I don't know. Fajes?
He's a new patron. You better get the name right.
Yeah, you should.
New patron, Kerry Fajes. Corey Kennedy.
He's
Shane, I don't know if you could pull up the picture he did of Riley for you. Corey Kennedy, Nicholas Cruz, Brennan McElrath, Kashawn Williams, Dwayne Jordan, Larry Vern Jones, or Funkster Jones, as you would know him, Sal Hamani, Mike V, HL Priest, and Chris Penna. I want to thank Chris Harold. And let me just go over to the patron side and shout out Death Left Link, who just signed up, Will Brassick, Kerry Fajes, again, Jeff Swider, Jeff Pinkerton, and Sam Patterson, Michael Brown, Brett Newth, Al Coast, Trey Harding, Seth DeWald, Travis Fries, Eric, Al Cruz, and Ryan Poles for being the new GM.
And Robbie Gould.
What? Are you cutting me off? I was about to say. The last shout out goes to Robbie fucking Gold for putting Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay fucking Packers out to motherfucking pasture. You Packer fans that have had 35 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play and 2 Super Bowls and a bunch of shit that you talk to us. Shane and I have had to address you in the complete truthful manner of rivalry. Grow a fucking pair. Shut the fuck up. Sit next to the Bears fans on the fucking couch, and we'll see you next year with a new coach and a new GM. That is where we end the show. You will see cars bounce out of here quicker than a fucking kid with a candy.
He's got his finger on the button.
Yes.
She agrees with the decisions that we've made. She's pissed off.
Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. Yo, 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 this is Claudio the Barber. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. This is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports, keeping it 100. Listen, it's Jesper Horsted's world, and we're just all living in it. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports, keeping it 100.
There's hope, guys. There's hope.
I hope
if
there's
we got the right people. I hope that is hope.
That's going to be the quote, the name of this show, Shane. I hope there's hope.
This has been a Shy City Sports presentation and a Tape Never Lies Network production. Keeping it 100. Thanks for tuning in to the Tape Never Lies Network.
I think Phil sucks.
Yep.